as you guys keep asking some stuff, I'll get into those. And for the time being, let's get into the Arundhati Roy interview. So I haven't watched the interview. I just found it and decided that this will be my backup. If no one shows up on my live stream, I'll just keep watching this and reacting to this interview. Wait. So the heading of the interview is interesting already. But there's one funny thing I want to show you in the comment section of this video, okay? So the name of the video is Hindu nationalism could break up India, but ultimately people will resist Modi's fascism. Okay, great. Let's see the comment sections. In a democracy, we get rulers what we deserve. And he's kind of right, and I guess he means it as a sarcasm. But this one is interesting. Look at this. So, great job done by Karan Thapar and Arundhati Roy. So, I am guessing this person is appreciative of this interview, right? So, a person who agrees with Arundhati Roy that India is a fascist country and Modi is fascist is at the same time commenting that this is the power of liberty. So, I don't know who is more stupid, Karan Thapar and Arundhati Roy for claiming that India is a fascist country, or this guy and their fans who think this is the power of liberty, and whether this person doesn't understand the meaning of fascism or he or she doesn't understand the meaning of liberty. What is happening here? India is a fascist country. I am afraid about losing my life for supporting Nupur Sharma, and here's a person saying India is a fascist country, but at the same time saying this is the power of liberty. This is hilarious. স্বামীজির স্পিচ থেকে নিয়েছি। ও ওকে, উত্তিষ্ট ভারত, হ্যাঁ এবার মনে পড়ছে, নামটা শুনেছি। So let's see the interview.
Only 87 billion. Adani's $51 billion came in the last year when most of India was falling into
Okay, it's off to a great start.
But the truth is, books. Amidst the confusion, chaos, and cacophony of Indian politics, there's a question that's rarely asked, and even when it is, it's often not honestly answered. What sort of country are we becoming? That's the key issue I shall explore today, and my guest is the Booker Prize-winning author and essayist, and someone many people consider a voice of conscience, Arundhati Roy. Arundhati Roy, I want to start with the question you first raised in an essay you wrote in 2009, but the truth is, if anything, it's even more pertinent today. You asked, what have we done to democracy? What have we turned it into? What happens when it has been hollowed out?
Okay, this line needs to be countered because this is the Amartya Sen line of thinking. That Amartya Sen did not think democracy khatre mein hai until BJP came to power. So when democracy throws up people or politics or ideas he doesn't like, that's when democracy is in trouble. And same with Arundhati Roy. Now democracy is in trouble because Modi has come to power, and she recently said that tenure of prime ministers needs to be decreased because Modi has come to power. She did not feel that all these years. Okay, one comment has come. Even I used to think these Libus were intellectuals or some kind of higher beings. Yes. Everything due to their English proficiency. Yes. Just look at Thapar, then look at Sudhir Chaudhary. I don't know who Sudhir Chaudhary is. Let me Google him. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Ankit Shetty. The fact that they say that India is fascist because of Modi and not go missing is really just something. Yeah, of course.
And emptied of meaning. What happens when each of its institutions has metastasized into something dangerous? Would you answer your question with reference to Modi's India?
2009 is, 13 years ago? So, obviously, clearly some of us were worrying about this before Modi came to power,
2009 is an important year. That's when people started realizing, people started feeling all around that, okay, something's up. Some patriotism and nationalism seems to be in the air. Some Hindu vibes are entering the fold. Let's call this bullshit out. And interestingly, Sanjeev Sanyal's first book was in 2008. So that should tell you something. That should tell you that that's when the churn was finally beginning, and were popping out different ideas and people and faces and discourses. So that's when she decided, no, now democracy is in danger.
Right now, what can I say? I mean, there's been a revolution.
Okay, let me reply to this. Now actually see that these people, at least they are chelas, their chelas suffer from very severe inferiority complex. In some contexts it's inferiority complex, in some contexts it's superiority complex. But what's interesting is that how many debates do you see from these people? Have you ever seen an Arundhati Roy debate a right winger? Have you ever seen Romila Thapar debate a right winger? Only Shashi Tharoor goes around doing this. And see, look at Sai Deepak, Vikram Sampath, Sanjeev Sanyal. Now Sanjeev Sanyal doesn't have the time anymore, obviously, because he's a member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of the biggest democracy in the history of mankind. But when do these people debate? Who do these people talk to? All their arguments, thoughts, ideas, discourse, all cool words, cool ideas are all just for their fans and students. They haven't pressure tested any of their ideas. That's why their ideas are bad. I don't even blame them. Blame them for having bad ideas. Anyone can have bad ideas. But when you pressure test your ideas, when you talk it out with your friends, family, or people you disagree with, and if you don't find any such people in your circles, then it's your job to write out some things and respond to criticism. When have they ever done that? Respond to counter arguments. The reason, since they don't do that, that's why their arguments and their ideas keep remaining bad. Hakashin God. I made a video and Thaikuram Bridge keeps ignoring the truth, and they promote a brain dead fan of theirs making, and a biased video to justify that Vararupam plagiarized. But sad. I'm actually surprised that the court gave this verdict, because does anyone know? It's hard for me to comment anything on law, because any conclusion that I come to on law seems to be wrong. But I was very surprised. I thought they will give the wrong verdict. And does anyone know what the proceedings exactly going on in the court? What did the judges say? That why are they rejecting these accusations? And if anyone knows that, let me know in the comment section, okay? Because since I don't expect the judges to know the technicalities of music, since they are an outsider to this genre, so I thought obviously they will think, yeah, it's a similar song, jhad diya, so screw them. That's what I thought they would do. But maybe they hired some expert or something. And I don't blame the lay persons and people who thought that Vararupam is a copy of Navarasa, because anyone who is an outsider to a genre will think that all the songs in the genre are same. What I said in my video, that you ask your grandparents, make them listen to any 80s, 3 or 4 80s Metallica song and Megadeth song. They will say all the songs of Metallica are either plagiarized by Megadeth or all the Megadeth songs are plagiarized by Metallica. But only thing sad and unfortunate has been that Thaikuram Bridge and that musicians who supported them, that is very sinister, very, very creepy, very unethical. Anyone who is remotely technical about music and has any amount of technical knowledge about music knows that this was not copied. Although metalheads, pure metalheads won't know that this is not copied, and pure classical people won't know this is copied, because again the fusion of two genres are there in that song, and one genre, the people outsider to one of those two genres obviously will think that the other genre is not something they have heard of much, and so that's copied. But a lot of people who are very accustomed to both of these genres, they went around saying that Vararupam is a copy of Navrasa, which is very unfortunate and unethical. Book literally named Ocean of Churn. Yeah, but his book, 2008 book, was The Indian Renaissance. That seems like he wrote it with so much vitriol. You have no idea. If you read his 2008 book, The Indian Renaissance, you will feel like he has some personal vendetta. He had so much vitriol and hate against Nehru and his policies. Nehru and the Bengali economist who was advisor to Nehru, P.C. Mohalanobish. He has ripped apart those policies, and I had no idea about India's economic history this way. And that book gave me a great starting ground. So if you want to know about India and what we all know that we had economic problems before 1991 and something happened in 1991 and it changed, right? But we don't know the details. We don't know how many different bad implications we have had, effects of those policies. If you want to read that, Sanjeev Sanyal's first book is the perfect book for that. And it's a very short book. It's this thin. What about the Padasrawal controversy? Could you make a detailed video just to give a context? You are Bengali, right? So I'll maybe talk. Okay, no, let's speak in English. So I made a video. I made a YouTube short based on this just a few hours back. Check it out. What I said is that I fully support what Padasrawal said, because Padasrawal first said the statement that Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. Then he says, what will you do? Cook fish for those Bengalis? And what does those Bengalis mean? Those Rohingyas and illegal Bangladeshis, obviously, because he has already set up his premise, okay? Then he has said those Bengalis. And if he's not going to say those Bengalis, what is he going to say? They are Bengalis. Rohingyas are Bengalis from Chittagong. Illegal Bangladeshi immigrants are Bengalis. So he said Bengalis. And in a political context about people being illegal immigrants to one country and being anti-India while seeking refuge in India. That is his entire political context. This is not like Padasrawal was giving a spin or rectifying some mistake by later saying that no, I meant it about illegal Bangladeshi immigrants. He very clearly said it first. He said illegal Bangladeshi immigrants and Rohingyas are coming to this country, and what will happen when they come for your jobs? Will you cook fish for the Bengalis? How is this even a controversy? This is absolutely unethical stuff from leftist Bengalis. Please turn off slow mode. By the way, it's completely on you. I'm just saying. No. It's my. I did it purposely. So if someone just can tell me how to do it, I have no idea. Stream settings, right? Wait, let me check it. How to turn off slow mode? Bro, I can't find it. Analytics, stream health. I don't know from where to do this. Maybe I'll have to go to my YouTube account, right? Wait. And until then, let's keep this playing.
Modi's favorite industrialist has overtaken his second most favorite industrialist as the richest man in India. I think Adani's wealth is 88 billion and Ambani's is only 87 billion. Adani's $51 billion came in the last year when most of India was falling into poverty and hunger and joblessness.
Yeah, who was promoting the joblessness?
I'm just giving you a slightly elaborate answer to your question, So these rails, which are inevitably to diverge, were set in place before Modi came to power. You already had, at the time I was writing that, I think 100 individuals who owned 25% of the GDP and so on. Modi came and pressed the accelerator, for big business. Way back in 2009, and that's,
Okay, she said a lot of hilarious things on economics and I have to counter them. Wait. What about this partial control? Okay, please turn off slow mode, okay? That's even better about Indian Renaissance, yeah. So let us know if you don't like these gossip texts. No, that's not a problem. Oh, I got the whole point now, thank you, yeah. Okay, so what she's saying is Adani's wealth has increased. This is a common talking point about leftists, that everyone became poor, Adani became rich. So they don't understand the difference between real wealth and real cash at home or in the bank versus net worth. Adani's wealth is a result of his companies doing well in the stock market. His companies do well in the stock market because people buy his shares, his company's shares. And why people buy his company's shares? Because they have some perception of that company. It's completely voluntary, consensual. I don't agree with that. I would never buy Adani's shares because if anyone is an investor or dabbles in share market things, they will know of a concept called PE ratio. And I'm very afraid of buying any company's share if their PE ratio is over 25. And they have a hilariously high PE ratio, and it's just collectively people believing in this company, and it's just like Tesla. Adani is India's Tesla. Tesla's stocks are also ridiculously and reasonlessly overpriced. It does not mean the Tesla cars are bad. It does not mean Adani is a bad person. It does not mean Elon Musk is a bad person. It does not mean their products are a bad thing. It's not a bad product they're making. It's just that anything can be good or bad, but it depends on the price that you are willing to pay for. Let's say I really like my phone. I paid 16,000 for it. It's probably the best phone I've ever owned. I would never pay 20,000 for this. I would never pay 50,000 for this. So Tesla cars are great. Adani's companies are great. But what price are you willing to pay for that, for a piece of that company? So I would never do that. But people are doing it. So and those are showing up in his net worth. And every day his net worth goes up and down, up and down. And if a recession is coming, as people are saying, then those stocks will also go to hell. And you'll see Adani's net worth go down. Net worth does not mean that he has $40 billion stacked up in his almirah or in his cupboard at home. That is what Arundhati Roy doesn't get. And the second point about everyone facing joblessness. Who was promoting those joblessness policies everywhere in the world? Who was promoting lockdowns? Leftists. Leftists have been shouting at the top of their voices defending lockdowns. I have never been pro-lockdown for each and everybody. I have always believed that people who are under 30 or at least below 40 and have some physical job, they obviously have low chances of getting killed or even falling sick, or at least low chance of having a slow recovery. Everyone's jobs were kept down, especially poor people who do physical jobs that makes them more immune to that kung flu virus. And everyone had to stay home because the people who are running the channels, the media, the liberals, all of them work from home. These are the people who work from home and told everyone that everyone should stay home. I remember some posts in Kolkata when some poor some sabziwala is selling some vegetables in his truck. Some guys are going for a morning tea. They are still not accustomed with this thing, how serious it is, because no one has ever taken any government policy seriously in India, obviously, because India only makes laws and rules and doesn't enforce them properly, because the laws are bullshit in the first place. And some guys are saying there should be shoot at sight orders for these people. What stupid nonsense. So because that guy works from home, from his laptop. So people who work from home, from their laptops, were the people who were defending lockdowns, and now these people are saying that people were out of jobs. Oh, it's so sad. Okay, let's check some comments. Right now she's like, Ambani bad, but when they see NDTV was literally under Ambani before Adani, it's absolute silence. Yes. Bro, have you seen recent incident that had happened? No, yeah, I saw your comment, but I don't know what happened. I did not hear about the incident. Happened near Bangladesh border. What happened between BSF and locals? No, I don't know about it. Thanks to leftists, it made people believe that Adani and Reliance have support from Modi, which is why... Yeah, exactly. People believe that, and that's why their stocks have been increasing.
Like before the Gujarat, I mean after the Gujarat massacre, after those people, Muslim...
Gujarat massacre. What was it in retaliation of? Huh? Who are the Karsevaks? Are they alive or dead? If they are not dead, if they are not alive, isn't that a massacre? Wait, let's check out her definition of massacre.
Individuals who owned 25% of the GDP and so on. Modi
she's talking about economics. Okay, Marx is talking about economics. This will be a big joke. Let's listen to this properly again.
And joblessness. So, I'm just giving you a slightly elaborate answer to your question, So these rails...
This is elaborate according to her. These people haven't even heard the name of Sai Deepak.
Which are inevitably to diverge, were set in place before Modi came to power. You already had, at the time I was writing that, I think 100 individuals who owned 25% of the GDP and so on.
Okay, this is the classic income inequality crap. Complaining about income inequality should tell you that they don't know much about wealth, prosperity, and wealth creation especially. So income inequality is never a problem. People remaining equally poor is the problem, because the third other option is people becoming equally rich, which is never possible, never happens, and will never happen. It's not possible for a country in where everyone is Elon Musk, okay? That just doesn't happen because of various other reasons, for which I will have to give you a 5-hour economics lesson now. And I'm not even an economics guy. All my knowledge comes from reading books. But what they are saying is, why is there an economic inequality? And as if there was no economic inequality before Modi, before 1991. Or as if any country in the world has not had economic inequality. And as if every poor country, poorest of poorest countries, don't have any income inequality. As if the richest, most prosperous countries don't have any income inequality. Income inequality only becomes a problem when Elon Musk or Adani becomes rich, but there is at the same time someone pulling a rickshaw. Oh my god, how can you roam around in a Tesla while someone is pulling a rickshaw? Stupid people. Income inequality is not a problem. The problem is people staying in the same economic strata or having the same lifestyle for 50 years, 60 years, or a person having the same lifestyle and using the same facilities as their grandparents. That is the problem. Income inequality is not a problem. For example, USA. What does a poor person's life look like in USA? They have a bad car, they have a bad AC, they have a bad heating system. That's a poor person. They have a bad home, bad looking home, which is 2 stories tall. That's a poor person's life in USA. And of course, he's nowhere as rich as Elon Musk. But that is a problematic income inequality according to these people. So if this is what equally poor means in a nation, everyone's equally poor. Let's say like Sudan. And then the economic prosperity begins, and this is how the differences increase. So the income inequality, the gap between different kinds of incomes will increase, but everyone's life is getting better. That's all we want. I'm pretty active on Reddit. Reliance have support from... I'm pretty active on Reddit. These workers generally come and comment on right-wing. These wokes generally come and comment on right-wing or even nationalist posts with the same half-baked logics and get absolutely bashed with stats and logic from right-wingers. That's great. Debate should go on. Otherwise, how will we ever change minds? I used to say stupid things to people and I also got bashed. But my mind did not change until I learned things from looking at videos and reading stuff. But it's okay. Debate is always needed. But see, those people who are debating you on Reddit, they are braver than Arundhati Roy and Romila Thapar. They have never done these things. Their fans are doing this stuff. দাদা এটা ট্যানজেন্সিয়াল শ্রী হ্যালি কল্যাণের হ্যালি গোস্বামী তো নাকি হ্যালি কল্যাণ অন্য কেউ হ্যালি কল্যাণের ভিডিওস তোমার ভালো লাগবে অথর্বা ফোরাম এবং সেন্টার অফ ইন্ডিক স্টাডিজ চ্যানেলে দেখতে পারো তুমি বোধহয় হ্যালি গোস্বামীর কথা বলছো তো ইয়া আই নো হিম হি ইজ ইন মাই ফ্রেন্ড লিস্ট but I can't comment because I think he did not accept the friend request. I think I just follow him on Facebook. Apu was message delete kar diyeche. Marx is talking about economics like Taliban talking about peace. Yes, exactly. You should make a t-shirt out of that. SWAT KP made a video compared vocal melody which is based on raga pattern to the drumming pattern which is also playing the same raga pattern. Good.
Modi came and pressed the accelerator, for big business.
Yeah, remember, she means that as a bad way, okay? Shamsharma had and Kushal Mehra had once done this episode that where they were going through the tweets about those Dismantle Hindutva conference, and they were noticing that what those people were saying about Hindutva as a criticism seemed like compliments to us. So that's actually a good thing because at least they are not distorting facts. They are presenting facts and giving an opinion that it's a bad thing that Hindutva is doing. That's actually very respectable. Everyone can present facts and have different interpretations about that. But this is also a similar case. What she is saying is a fact and we think it's a compliment. She thinks it's a criticism. That's hilarious. So what the Dismantle Hindutva conference was saying was that this has brought along Hindu unity. The middle castes are united with the upper castes now. That is very bad. How is that a criticism? Apu Bose, why RSS has stopped Operation Sung in West Bengal? Nowadays I can't even see any meetings or Sung. Yeah, lok nahi to ki korbe. There are no people to attend those meetings. What are they going to do? And RSS, being an RSS person requires a lot of hard work, and based on what I've read, I don't know any person who is a part of RSS, but it takes hard work, it takes actual sacrifices. Being in RSS is not going to help you become an MLA. You'd rather go get into BJP. So who is going to get into RSS now, except the people who are already in RSS based on their family, right? So anyone who will have to get into RSS will have to come from Trinamool or BJP. That's not going to happen. Trinamool or CPIM. That's never going to happen. And the base of RSS is already pretty low. So at least the people who have done RSS from their childhood days, their sons and daughters are either in CPIM or BJP, or they are remotely not interested in politics. Or even if they are interested in politics, they will go to BJYM, ABVP or BJP stuff. Who's going to get into RSS stuff now? It's impossible.
Way back in 2009, and that's, like before the after the Gujarat massacre, after those people, Muslim people, were slaughtered on the streets of Gujarat. You had Ratan Tata and Ambani.
Muslim people were slaughtered on the streets, and where were the 250 Hindus slaughtered on a rooftop terrace? They were not slaughtered on the streets.
Endorsing Modi as a future prime minister. So now what has happened, we've read the Oxfam reports on inequality. It's become absolute.
Oxfam is a big joke, guys. Let's have some fun about Oxfam. Let's see what are their ideas. Oxfam is a very problematic, far left policy pushing, woke think tank. What we do: take action, blogs, press releases. Can we check their funding here? No, I'm too lazy to do that right now. Let's listen to what other bullshit she says.
Absolutely obscene. I think a farmer in UP recently put it perfectly. He said, देश को 4 लोग चलाते हैं, 2 बेचते हैं, 2 खरीदते हैं, 4 गुजरात से है. So.
Okay, so yes, I'm sure that poor farmers' economics knowledge needs to be taken into account. So decide, Arundhati Roy, who do you want to listen to? Nobel laureates who agree with these farmers, or the farmers? Because all of you have the same opinion and it's all wrong.
You have these people who own ports.
Besides, we don't even know if that farmer meant it as a criticism. Maybe that farmer is happy that those 4 people run the country, if at all that is the case.
And mines and petrochemicals and the media and the internet and so on. And that kind of monopoly capital, I don't think even capitalist countries practice. So in Parliament recently you had,
Okay, here she is half right. She's a little right. It has to be very nuanced, and I would need some data to present to you guys to argue this, but which I'm not prepared for. But Adani and Modi on the outside, on the face of it, can easily be accused of being crony capitalists. But there isn't many obvious and direct ways to make that accusation right now. And but the thing is that so far it's all good for everyone. Everyone's a winner for now. We don't know what bad things it's leading to, if at all it's leading to anything bad. But as far as that kind of monopoly not existing in USA or capitalist countries, I don't know what she means by capitalist countries, because the moment leftists open their mouths in USA, they say that European countries are not capitalist countries, they are democratic socialist countries or social democracies. But when Arundhati is talking about capitalist countries in plural, obviously she is taking into account first world European countries. But if at all there is truly a free market, that has to be obviously mainly in USA. And USA, there are many monopolies, and though they are monopolies that they deserve to be monopolies. Like UFC is accused of being an unfair monopoly in the world of MMA. UFC, Dana White has done that hard work and has become a monopoly that way. So there are many ways to become a monopoly, and there are many corrupt ways of becoming monopolies as well. USA has pressure groups, lobbyists, and all of them are in cahoots with politicians both from Republican parties and Democratic parties. So I don't know what she means by that. Capitalist countries don't have this problem, but if at all it is a problem so far in India, that problem exists already in USA as well. But I would agree with her to some extent that if it is crony capitalism, I don't have all evidence to call it crony capitalism right now, but if it is crony capitalism, that's obviously bad.
Rahul Gandhi speaking, talking about Amir Hindustan and Garib Hindustan, rich India, poor India. And you had OAC talking about Mohabbat ke Hindustan or Nafrat ke Hindustan. And it was as if these were antagonistic things, but actually they've been dancing together a long time, because the corporate class underwrites Hindu nationalism. It is the bank guarantee, So they and now they've.
ये क्या बोल दिया? Okay. If corporate class underwrites Hindu nationalism, why didn't they do it for 75 years? What were you corporate classes doing? कहाँ था तुम्हारा Hindu nationalism, bro? Amir logo? Why were you so late to the party? Secondly, obviously she is wrong on this, but what she fails to appreciate is that corporate people or capitalists or rich people who understand business are just good at business, and they see a wave of thing and they want to ride that wave. So instead of blaming the wave, of course she blames the wave as well, she's blaming people who understand business for profiting off the wave. And she obviously will not have a problem if rich people have a left-wing channel. She won't probably have a problem with George Soros funding Black Lives Matter. So this is a new idea, guys. This is the first time I'm hearing about this accusation that corporates are the reason behind Hindu nationalism. Okay. Let me check some comments. Had Reddit not banned me for posting a torrent link, I would have made a clip out of this and made a joke out of her in Reddit. Isn't she the same person who writes for Washington Post and defames India every week? Yes, Corporates. Jeff Bezos is a good corporate person, nice person. Isn't Rana Ayub the one writing? Yeah. ओवैसी ने तो और भी बहुत कुछ कहा है. Yes.
Come together on the 56-inch ka chhati of Modi. So if the institutions of democracy were being eroded.
Why do you need to body shame Narendra Modi, or why do you need to body shame a man about claiming to have a bigger chest than they actually have? Every man has done this. Be honest, guys. And even men have feelings. Men are allowed to cry, and men are allowed to claim their chests are 56 inches.
Even at the time when the UPA was in power, eroded by massive influx of corporate capital, you had a situation where, okay, let's say.
Yeah, she is saying all things which I agree is not the best idea or not the best possible scenario, but she seems to think that these things are happening in India for the first time in the history of independent India. Who was Congress running on, or running with whose money? Who does CPM run their business with whose money? From the SFI guys outside a metro station. CPM used to be the third biggest, or it's maybe it's not anymore. When I was in school, CPM was the third richest political party in India, right after Congress and BJP. So whose money is that? Corporates giving money to politicians. She seems to think this is happening right after 2014 or since 2013-14, and that's when BJP came to power because of corporates. What kind of politics does she follow? Who used to fund Congress? Who were Tata and Bajaj helping until 1991? Oh yeah, that's Rana Ayub, yeah. Right, Abhijit, their girlfriend.
Say we were heading towards, let's call it the best democracy that money can buy. Now you have, democracy for people who can afford it. But now you have the.
Thomas Sowell has this idea, a concept called cosmic justice, okay? That idea implies that when you are part of a facility or system which is already great or best, and maybe even best in the history of mankind, and then you complain that it's not good enough for me, or it could be better, or you are criticizing it for not being something more better. Okay, so then Thomas Sowell's idea comes in, and they say, okay, you are saying this is bad. You are not just saying that this can be better. You are saying this is bad, and it's bad because it's not good enough. But you are not specifically making the argument that it can be better. You are not making that encouraging voice. It's like speaking to a child that, yeah, okay, you scored 80 runs today, but you can score 82 runs. Maybe you can do it better. But what you're saying is that maybe the top score in the history of mankind, I guess, is 200 or something, right? Rohit Sharma's. Let's say someone comes in and says that people don't score 300 in ODIs. That means they are all bad batsmen. That's where Thomas Sowell says that you are talking about cosmic justice. You live in an imaginary world where you pretend that everything is perfect, and you are comparing this real world to that cosmic imaginary world. That is cosmic justice. Just like when people say that there are poor people in America as well, or there's no economic upward mobility in USA. Yeah, but where's the better upward mobility happening in the world right now? And like what she is saying here,
let's call it the best democracy that money can buy. Now you have, democracy for people who can afford it.
Yeah. So if India is a democracy for people who can afford it, even though we know what was our Prime Minister's background, he used to sell tea, what was our President's background, and who are the people who vote for these people. So I'm ignoring all of that. If at all this is a democracy money can buy, what according to her is the democracy not dependent on money or corporates? Can she name any country? Cuba, Venezuela, Soviet Union, West Bengal, Kerala, which according to is the best democracy, and that was not dependent on money? Certainly Reliance was founded in 2014 under the leadership of Sri Narendra Modi. Can they really not see the majority of India really likes development and don't give about democracy had it been decreasing yeah. Bangladeshi and Pakistani people always give examples of Arundhati Roy about Kashmiri remarks. Yeah. Whenever I said why Kashmir is integral part of India with my truth and logic. Yeah, that is true. She is their intellectual cover fire. Connect with previous comment. Why government of India haven't taken any action against this woman? They absolutely should not take any action against this woman. I was going to make a video on this, and maybe I will, because not everyone is going to watch this live stream. See, sunlight is the best disinfectant, guys. That Israeli filmmaker coming and saying that, Arundhati Roy going around saying this bullshit, this is the best thing that can happen for us. Minds cannot be changed with force. And if you there are two ways that people think Indic ethos and Hindu civilization will have a clearer and more comfortable path. One is, some people think that there should be some action against people like her or Anurag Thakur for bringing that filmmaker or the filmmaker himself. And some people think that eliminating the voices of these people, shutting them up or not giving them the platform, that would be great. Let me tell you why that's bad. Firstly, no one's mind is going to be changed if you force them. Like I have said countless times in many of my live streams and videos, that my mind would not be changed if I had not read Sanjeev Sanyal's book in 2021 out of my own efforts. Until the day I read Land of Seven Rivers, I was absolutely against anything Indian and Indian culture and Hinduism. Because I believe 100% that it's a defeated society. What's the point of Hinduism? What's the point of Indian culture? What's the point of being proud of anything Indian in Indian history? Because all that has given us is a defeated society, fragmented society, casteism. That's all I believed. What that Prakhar Gupta believes in. So, but that took 2021. So I was 29 years old by then. No, I was how much old? I forgot. Yeah, I was 30 years old. I was 30 and a half years old when I learned that, oh, India is actually a good country. Oh, Hinduism is great. Oh, there were good things that we did in our past. So be it. Now no one can, no leftist can have any footing in front of me in debates, because I know all their arguments inside out. And I have been that person. I have made those arguments myself. Now I'm saying, no, this is a better argument on this side of the political spectrum. What are you going to tell me? What are you going to teach me anything new that I didn't know already? I was part of you. So Arundhati Roy should not be taken action against, because people need to know that such hilarious things are being said, and some leftists will someday change their minds about Arundhati Roy, because they firstly need to know what's all the fuss about Arundhati Roy. They need to know Arundhati Roy's opinions inside out. Then they can happily propagate Arundhati Roy's, no problem. And then one day will come when they will hear some video or some lecture somewhere about which debunks Arundhati Roy's ideas. And that's the day they will start to question one thing, then two things, then three things about Arundhati Roy. And within a few months, all their views will be very different. But if they don't even hear Arundhati Roy, then the problem arises that 50 years later, like what's happening with our Indian history now, so many things that we didn't know because Congress just hid these things from us. And now some of us, some people on the Indic wing have an overreaction. Now they say that everything was born in India, nothing ever was invented outside India, no thought, etc. Sai Deepak was saying in a debate that अरे कुछ तो credit दो कुछ लोगों को, ऑस्ट्रेलिया को भी अस्त्रालय बता रहे हो, and admit that some other people had brains as well. You don't need to falsify things to justify the real things that we did in our past. But I don't even blame people for these overreactions. These are just overreactions. Overreactions will happen when you hide and pressurize people into darkness for so many decades. It's like everything is like a spring. The further you press it, the harder it's going to spring out. So let's say we eliminate the voices and deplatform all Arundhati Roy's interviews, speeches, debates, and Romila Thapar's speeches and debates, erase them from history. Stop selling all their books. 50 years later, someone's going to find out some history book and they are going to say, oh, wait, there were other voices saying that no, Muslim kings were great. We learned architecture from Mughals. We need to get into this, get to the bottom of this school of thought, and why was this hidden? And then they'll have a personal grudge against the school of thought which hid all those voices, and maybe just for that grudge itself they are going to start falling in love with Romila Thapar and Arundhati Roy's ideas. Let's see. Left forgets to take context into account and can only look from a high pedestal. Yes. Why don't these people have absolutely no opinions over one, Islamic radicalism in open? Aftab said Jannat mein to jaunga, de do phansi. They will probably say that he has been coerced in the prison. Apu Bose laughing. Shaptarshi Adhikari, are dada bhalo to? Yes, bhalo.
But now you have these institutions of democracy, whether it's the press, whether it's the courts, whether it's the intelligence services, worryingly even the army, all educational institutions penetrated, overtaken, or at least compromised by this Hindu nationalist ideology.
So it's not a problem if left-wing ideology is penetrated in those institutions. I don't see her point in any of her arguments. What is the new thing that is she accusing today's India of? What is the one thing she's saying that has never happened in the history of this country? Internet was gone, guys. Let me know if it's back. I hope it's all working fine. Okay, internet's back. Shubhapriya Basu. Nice. A lot of Bengalis joining in. So I lost my train of thought completely. What was I saying? Okay, yeah. Whatever she's accusing India or Indian institutions or the politicians of doing, everything has been done by leftists, Marxists, and Congressies.
You have Parliament turned into, monkey bath. I mean it in the Hindi.
Chandrachur.
Hindi sense of the word, where you have clearly unconstitutional laws, like let's say the abrogation of Section 370.
Come to debate. Debate Jay Sai Deepak. Hire a lawyer. Ask them to fight it in court. Everything is wrong. Everything is unconstitutional. Everything is feminist. Everything is patriarchal. Everything is toxic masculinity. Never ever do they win a fucking debate.
Or what were the other ones? The farm laws. Laws that...
Yesterday I was checking out S. Jaishankar's Minister S. Jaishankar's interview with Columbia University professor. And Columbia University, that professor is a professor of Indian political thought or something like that. In the Department of Political Science, but something related to India. That's the name of the department, and that's what he's a professor of. So there they were saying this thing. Okay, wait.
What were the other ones? The farm laws.
Yeah. So that professor used to be the first vice chairman of the Niti Aayog. Now he's a professor there. So even he was saying that for 30 years everyone has agreed about the farm laws. Every policy maker, every technocrat, every economist, every bureaucrat, every government, every political party has known that these farm laws are important. But no one had the testicular fortitude to execute those stuff. And this government also seemed to have that courage, and then they backed out, obviously. But she here, who has never debated anyone on these issues, is calling this unconstitutional. She's not even saying it's ethically wrong or morally wrong. She's making a legal argument that it's unconstitutional. What kind of a echo chamber does she live in? আচ্ছা দাদা, লেফট একটা অভিযোগ করে যে বিজেপি নাকি সংবাদ মাধ্যমকে কিনে রেখেছে। এটা কি করে কাউন্টার করি বলো তো? বলো যে যেগুলো লেফটিস্ট সংবাদ মাধ্যম সেগুলো তাহলে কার পয়সায় চলছে? বিজেপি কি এনডিটিভিকে টাকা দিচ্ছিল এতদিন? বিজেপি কি গণশক্তিকে টাকা দেয়? বিজেপি কি আনন্দবাজার পত্রিকাকে টাকা দেয়? তারপরে বিজেপি কি হিন্দুকে টাকা দেয়? আচ্ছা দাদা, তোমার মনে হয় জাস্টিস ডিওয়াই চন্দ্রচূড় পক্ষপাতহীনভাবে কাজকর্ম সম্পাদন করবে? Wait, okay, there are many people watching who don't understand Bengali. So what this person is asking that do I think will Justice Chandrachud work impartially? What I want to say is that I have absolutely no idea, because I don't get how judges think. Every judge seems to have a disagreement about every policy or law with another judge. So it's not even a question of specifically Chandrachud being very woke. I wouldn't even trust any so-called right-wing judge to make the decisions I agree with personally. So it's a very weird thing going on. Okay. Shudhumatru allegation, yes. What do you think about Praveen Mohan? I don't know who is Praveen Mohan. You may not believe it, but sometimes these overreactions, as in Australia may have been astral, actually help in changing the mind of a naive Hindu. Happened to me when I was in 8. True. Yeah, I used to hear every day about Pushpak Viman during 2013 and 14. So I thought that was all stupid. And then I read Sanjeev Sanyal. English please, yeah. One of my leftist friend from Jadavpur University has changed his mind after reading India That Is Bharat book by JSD. Good. And I was feeling great after that. Now he is more big fan of JSD than me. Yes.
Laws that totally, and of course the Citizenship Amendment Act, laws that devastate the lives of millions of people. And you have...
Here she is at least technically correct. It will devastate the lives of people who are here illegally. But if devastation means that going back to a country that sucks according to the people who came here, because they obviously came here because their country sucks. I'm not making a claim that Bangladesh sucks. It's the people who have come to India under such dire circumstances. They are obviously saying with their actions that Bangladesh sucks so much that they found India, a so-called Hindu fascist country, to be better, even though they are Muslims themselves. So that is going to be devastating for them. Yeah, they'll have to go back to their country. But that's, in my heart, I don't think that's going to end up happening. I think what's going to end up happening is no one is going to be sent back, but in future no one gets to enter, which is also not something enforceable because these borders are very porous. But at least any Hindu, Christian, Buddhist who is going to come, they are going to get legal citizen.
The Supreme Court basically they've been implemented. The Supreme Court is still pondering over whether it's constitutional or not. Then you have the office of the Prime Minister being abused by the Prime Minister, coming out and making these announcements of demonetization, which devastated the economy.
Okay, demonetization is an experiment, and many libertarians have many criticisms about this, like people who believe in free markets. They are absolutely the demonetization action, but again, it's an experimentation. How is that an abuse of the Prime Minister's office? She just accused the Prime Minister of abusing his office without any evidence. Her evidence is an experimentation. Shouldn't people do any experimentations? What was Fabian socialism done by Nehru? His deindustrialization drive. All of that was experiments. And they thought that that's going to work. Obviously, Nehru didn't think, yeah, let's screw the country economically. He believed that those were going to work. He was very wrong, obviously. So, experimenting with economic policies is abuse of the Prime Minister's office. What is she saying? Egulo conspiracy theory. Bhai Praveen Mohan. Please check him out. So much greatness out in the open. He's an Indic historian. Whoa. In a way, basically real life Indiana Jones. Okay. আচ্ছা বাংলায় কেন একটা জেএসডি তৈরি হচ্ছে না? বাংলায় তো একটা রাম মাধবের মতন লোকও নেই। Okay, again, I don't know who is Ram Madhav. Okay, now this question is asking in Bengali that why is there no Bengali version of JSD? There are not many JSDs in any Indian languages, okay? There's only one JSD. So that you have to keep in mind. It's not like there's a Marathi JSD, there's a Punjabi JSD, there's a Tamil, there is a Tamil JSD, but there is only one JSD. So to be fair to Bengalis, I'm not disappointed with Bengalis for not having a Bengali JSD. It's not a matter of joke. There aren't going to be many JSDs.
The announcement of a lockdown with 4 hours notice.
Okay, Arundhati Roy, how many hours of notice should there have been? 8 hours, 10 hours? What exactly is the amount of notice that you would have agreed with? And if there were more deaths and more infections and what's the word for it? I forgot. Phalna. And who would you have blamed then for the extra delay in the lockdowns?
Announcement of the withdrawal of the farm laws, which was as insulting as the promulgation of the farm laws. Just toying with the idea of what a democracy is meant to mean. So finally,
okay, this is toying. So she would rather have that Modi did not back down on farm laws and CA. So the fact that they did some experimentations they went ahead with, and some experimentations they backed down after strong protests. So the Prime Minister apparently is abusing the Prime Minister's office by listening to protesters. Okay, by agreeing with protesters and taking back the policy. That is an abuse of the Prime Minister's office and toying with democracy, according to Arundhati Roy. Praveen Mohan is a YouTube channel, not a writer, just so that you don't get the wrong impression. Okay.
I'll just finish. What I feel has happened is that the BJP has now begun, and its leader has begun to confuse itself with the nation and with the state. So if the BJP is rich, the nation is rich. If you criticize the BJP, you're anti-national. This is very dangerous.
Criticism of BJP is done day in and day out by right-wingers. When will she understand this? There's a funny phenomenon, okay? When you meet a liberal, do you always call them, hey, Congressy, or Trinamooli, or CPIM? If they are a member of those parties, you obviously say that. Or if they are ardent supporters and they promote direct policies by Congress, CPIM or Trinamool, then you obviously call them a stooge of those parties. That's fair. But people who are not remotely associated with those parties but hold leftist views, which is a huge section of India's English educated class, we never call them those things because we know that's not the case. They are not ardent supporters of Congress, CPIM or Trinamool. They just agree with some of their policies. They are actually further left of those parties, and so are we. I am further right of BJP on economics. So they have this superiority complex that whatever we are knowing, learning, understanding, all is happening out of the BJP party office. as if India, that is Bharat, was printed in the BJP party office or an RSS party office. All these thoughts, all Hinduism, everything comes from BJP. There was nothing of it before 2014 or before RSS and BJP was born.
Thing, you know. So yeah, I mean, sorry for the long answer, but.
So are you saying that democracy has ceased to exist, that it's been diminished, that it is eroded? Which of the three?
I'm saying it has been seriously eroded, and the shells of these institutions have.
To quote Minister Jaishankar again, democracy has eroded so much that the Prime Minister has to go to a state and campaign. And on the other hand, Raghav Chaddha is saying that Modi is afraid. That's why he is campaigning in Gujarat, because he's afraid of losing the election. So guys, decide. It's one of it. It can't be both. It can't be heads you win and tails I lose. Either Modi is afraid because because the democracy has not eroded, or the democracy has eroded, and therefore Modi should just sit in his office with his feet up the table and chill, because the democracy has eroded. He's going to win anyway.
Been kept in place, you know, but we are in danger of just becoming, you know, the show window is democracy, and behind.
So India's claim to be the biggest democracy in the world is seriously questioned by you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want very much to touch on some of the aspects of the sort of country we've become. First, in December in Haridwar, there were blood-curdling calls for a genocide of Muslims, for ethnic cleansing, and there was deafening silence from the government.
Those guys were arrested, right? I absolutely don't support that. What are you going to achieve by killing people?
The Prime Minister, not a single minister, not a single MP in the BJP had anything to say. In your eyes, is that a sign that India is moving away from its constitutional commitment to secularism and instead?
Yes, and how many Congressies defended Nupur Sharma when her life was being threatened? Did Arundhati Roy support Nupur Sharma and her right to be alive?
Instead becoming a majoritarian Hindu country.
Let's take some questions. Praveen Mohan, JSD. আমরা কি জেএসডি তৈরি করার মতন সংস্থা স্থাপন করতে পারি না? Okay, he's asking in Bengali that can't we make an organization that or a think tank that creates people like JSD? I would say you cannot actually, because of the very fact that JSD is not a product of an institution or a think tank. These things have to happen organically, guys. You have to read up on your own. You have to become articulate. You have to debate people. You have to get better at debating. Debating is a learned skill. So JSD has done all those things. He has put an effort from his personal time, personal commitments, setting time apart from his personal commitment, family, such a busy law profession, going around giving speeches. So that's how JSDs are born. That's how people like JSD happen. It can't happen in a safe manufactured environment. Never. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy filed case against Tamil Nadu about temple authority issue. Why can't we do here in Bengal? Who's going to do it? When BJP was, I think the Gyanvapi case had just come up. The BJP politician from Bengal, a young guy, Tarunjoti Tiwari, he had made some posts about the Adina mosque. That was it. After that, he went quiet. The most obscene level of lowball name calling is done by leftists, obviously. And this is a very unbiased view, yes. Just try to list slangs for leftists and then think slangs for right-wingers. Yeah. The problem with the slangs is that leftist slangs are actually academic terms, because leftists all have a mutual masturbation society. So they have come up with slangs and abusive words, but they have given it names, and they actually know they are just abusive words, and they have all agreed upon that they are academic terms. But when a right-winger actually gives slangs, they will give maa behan ki gali. They are not going to give academic terms as slangs. How many Muslims have been killed in the name of religion? And then just list the love jihad victims. It's like the majority of a nation is held out. Yeah, but they would say that is not love jihad. That's just patriarchy, because one man is killing a woman. Wait.
That India is moving away from its constitutional commitment to secularism and instead becoming a majoritarian Hindu country.
See, those dharam sansads.
So majoritarian Marxism is not a problem. Majoritarian post-colonial ideas are not a problem. Only decoloniality is a problem. Only Hindutva is a problem.
There have been several of them, and they were literally calling for genocide, calling for Hindus to arm themselves. We've also had
Arming yourself and genocide is not the same thing. Call for genocide is absolutely bad and should not be condoned. They should face punishment for that. But arming yourself is just a common sense good thing to do.
Hundreds of attacks on Christians, on churches, the burning of...
Hundreds of attacks. Where does she get these statistics from? Hundreds of attacks. And were all of them done by Hindus? Does she know that they were not all done by Hindus? Hundreds of attacks. Okay, wait. Here's a good point. A lot of Marxist historians have made this point that the attacks on the temples by Islamic invaders were just done for the economics of the purpose, because there was gold inside the temple, and that's obviously a bad thing. Gold should be distributed among the poor people. Gold should not be inside a temple where there's a god and we don't believe in God. Why should a god have gold? So it's a way of saying that in a way that was a proletariat movement. It was a fight against the unethical holding of gold in temples. So, but when it comes to a destruction of a church, then she is sure that there were hundreds of church attacks only done by Hindus and not for economic reasons. Now it's very religious all of a sudden. How many Muslims have been? Okay. BJP is called coward for not defending its cadres in Bengal. Yes, absolutely. What are your thoughts about this as a Bengali? Yes, absolutely they are cowards. Actually, BJP Bengal and Dilip Ghosh on the ground level BJP workers, they are not the cowards. They are the ones who face the brunt of it. Top BJP leadership is the coward. But in the end, I don't know what could have been done. They could have used stronger words, I guess, or legally there was nothing to be done. Whatever had to be legally done was done, because police is not going to be active. The BJP cannot go and enforce police or Bengal's laws as being a central government. And if there was presidential rule, that would be a disaster. You'd never know which judge gets to decide that, because someone would obviously dispute the idea that that Bengal should be under president's rule. And if one judge overturns the verdict that Bengal has to go under president's rule, the day that judgment comes out, more BJP party workers will get killed. There will be fire all across Bengal in the homes of BJP party workers. So thank God BJP didn't put up president's rule in Bengal. If it was only for gold, why they destroyed the temple made of stone? The argument would be that there probably was gold inside the temples.
Statues of Jesus. Now,
everything she says in plurals. Okay, statues of Jesus, hundreds of statues, I guess. Where does she get this info from? What do you think of Justice Abhijit Ganguly? Who is Abhijit Gangopadhyay? The person who is being really hard with Trinamool, right? Is it that one? Just let me know. Then I'll comment. Gyana Kshatriya. The best part of that interview was Karan Thapar not interrupting every second with every other question like he does with nationalists.
The person who was one of the main movers and one of the main speakers in this, Yati Narasimhan, he's just been given bail by the courts. So it's not just the government, but the courts, the state.
Yes, and as if the Indian judiciary has never given any verdict against Hindus. I don't think she reads the news much.
Machinery which is part of this. While professors and activists and lawyers and poets are in jail, a man who calls openly for genocide has got bail.
Poets and activists, some of them are in jail for sympathizing with people who want to break up the country. Debate is fine. Asking to break up the country is not fine. And neither is calling for genocide, but that's what the court did. What can you do? And because they didn't show any actual planning or action of making a genocide, that's why not much could have been done.
You have other instances, like you look at the hijab, controversy in Karnataka now. Again, the courts have come out temporarily maybe, but in favor of the Hindu majoritarianism, as we call it.
Go debate Sai Deepak. Why don't you? Why don't you clarify your doubts with Sai Deepak or people on this side? Okay, because obviously Arundhati Roy's argument is that the judge or the entire system is right-winger, but you obviously can't debate with an entire system. You can debate with a person. So go hit up a person in his DMs. Slip into Sai Deepak's DMs and ask him, bro, what's your problem with hijabs, huh? And actually Sai Deepak does not have a problem with hijabs. He has said that maybe he does not support people having to wear hijabs in schools, but he has agreed with advocates Faizan Mustafa in their debate, which was moderated by Wendy Doniger, what's the term they used? Mandatory religious thing or something like that. Judges should not be deciding what's mandatory in a religion. That was Faizan Mustafa's point and Sai Deepak's point as well. And I very much like that, because someday it's going to come back to haunt us. Someday again the courts are going to say that, see, that was done in this course, now we are going to decide what's mandatory for Hinduism, and therefore we think that this is not mandatory in Hinduism, and now we are not going to let you do it. That's what's going to happen because of this verdict. But judges should not be deciding what's mandatory in a religion. Because why does it even matter if they wear a hijab? Because if they don't wear a hijab, it doesn't mean that they are not going to have the same views as regressive Islamofascist Muslims, right? So as long as they don't come to kill you, as Hindus, you should not have a problem. Maybe you want to be Raja Ram Mohan Roy for them, maybe you want to reform Islam, but that's just your idea of what a nation should look like, or what gender justice should look like. That's fine. But as a Hindu, you should not have a problem with other communities enforcing their religious customs upon their people. If the people inside their customs have a problem, they have to create their own Raja Ram Mohan Roys. We as outsiders don't need to do it. Let them stand up to their men. They are saying they want to wear a hijab. How can you even tell them then, no, I'm explaining to you as an outsider that it's oppressive for you. They are saying it's not oppressive for me. I want to wear a hijab. What moral right do we have? It was only for gold, the best part. If one of the biggest points of their sympathy points is Bechara Musalman, yeah, to sympathy for them, to har din kam hota ja raha hai. Apu Boss is saying yes. Is getting popularity among masses even their goal? I'm really having doubts. Please take this. Getting popularity is not obviously Arundhati's specific goal, because she does not need to win votes, because she has other avenues of making money. She does not care who comes to power. She just wants to keep saying these talking points, and she'll keep saying these talking points no matter who comes to power. But about the same people, obviously. When Rahul Gandhi, if someday Rahul Gandhi or Arvind Kejriwal come to power, she will also keep saying these things for BJP and RSS. Okay. You must sometime watch or review musical videos by Vishwesh Bhatt, especially his video on why Vararupam was not copied. Is Vishwesh Bhatt the elderly gentleman who was playing a synthesizer and explaining why it's not a copy? That's one video I have watched on this topic. Recently in Jharkhand, a 15-year-old got married to a Muslim since the Muslim law allowed it. Weren't we all equal before the law? Yeah, obviously. I wonder what's Arundhati Roy's stand on that. Gyana Kshatriya, you don't remove darkness by suppressing it under blanket. Amen. It gets dark. You shine so bright with your ideas that these people become irrelevant. Exactly, and that is what is happening. And that is what actually Narendra Modi is doing. Narendra Modi is actually a genius in this thing. If he had actually changed textbooks the day he came to power, I would forever have opposed the idea of Indian history and Indian culture. It has to happen organically.
Which is a problematic term, we'll come to that. But if it's not all right for Muslim girls to wear hijabs in classrooms, debatable, how is it all right for the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh to prance around in saffron robes in their positions holding office? So what we have is a system where we are a country with a pretty...
Of course, she's right. in one way, that if they don't have a right to wear their religious symbols, why should Yogi Adityanath wear his religious symbols? But she is also hilariously wrong. Hilariously, because these are the people who always talk about power dynamics. Does she for one moment in her heart think that Yogi Adityanath has the same amount of consent and power dynamic as a minor girl who is not an adult in a Muslim family? Does she have the same amount of voice and consent like Yogi Adityanath? Where's the power dynamic argument now? How stupid.
Pretty sophisticated jurisprudence, pretty sophisticated laws, but now those laws apply depending on your caste, depending on your religion, depending on your gender, depending on your ethnicity, and this is like, you know, having a huge, I don't know, like a huge spreading.
Okay, she made a lot of separate arguments, all of which we already know are bullshit, but and we have already countered some of them, but she also mentioned caste. She thinks after BJP has come to power, all of a sudden casteist politics has begun. What is she saying? After 2014, casteist politics has happened. Before that, there was no casteism. There was no caste-based vote banks. For the entire history of independent India, casteism-based politics has been encouraged because of casteism, let's say caste criticizing authors on the left. Okay, that's how they got their intellectual ammunition. Those politicians in Bihar and UP, even UP it has decreased a lot, and in Bihar I hear it's going to decrease now. It's finally decreasing. That people are tired of the caste politics and they are uniting under the Hindutva idea. But all these years, those politicians have used data presented by Marxist sociologists on caste and used that to play caste politics. Where was she then? Let's read some more comments. You are doing great job, bro. Thank you. আচ্ছা, তোমার মনে হয় না সেডিশন অ্যাক্ট থাকা সত্ত্বেও ইউএপিএ অ্যাক্টটা অবান্তর, তাও আবার উইদাউট ট্রায়াল? Saptarshi Adhikari is asking that don't you think that having a sedition law and UAP at the same time and doing the same work is stupid? Without trial is a problem, but some investigation needs to happen. But sedition and UAPA, both laws for the same action is obviously meaningless. Karan Thapar is mesmerized, lol, yeah. पर वैसी तो टोपी पहनता है. Yes. Shubhapriya Basu, I however don't agree with you fully. Law society should ensure religions don't push India back. If hijab is regressive, aren't we taking away the rights of girls who are forced to follow? You have made a very good argument, and I agree with you. And I agree with your right to actually say this, because in a way you are right. But I'm saying as a Hindu, there's nothing to say, because overall the country won't go back because of someone wearing a hijab, because otherwise no hijabi woman would ever do something great in her life. We have so many hijabi athletes, academicians now, all of whom are hardcore Islamists and pro hijab, and they are doing good things in their lives. And they just have this amount of oppression, which they think is not an oppression, and they have full consent behind it. If the person being oppressed is saying that they want to do it, and then they actually feel a certain connection with God, there's no way I can tell her anything, and there's no way that's going to hold her back, because she's going to, let's say, read the same books, play the guitar, not act maybe, or whatever thing of contribution we expect from her in society for the betterment of our country. She thinks she's going to be able to do that, all of that, with a hijab. Therefore, I don't see a problem with that. Bhaskar Ojha, damn. Don't you know India was a Sone ki chidi until April? Yes.
Tree resting on a bed of sand. I mean, to ask whether we are becoming a majoritarian state, this is the stated position.
Vallabhbhai Patel's comment was that this is minorityism. So obviously she does not have a problem with minorityism, and she does not have a problem with the term called tyranny of the minority, and she does not have a problem when the majority and majoritarian politics says that Marxism is great, socialism is great, businessmen are bad, capitalism is bad, industry is bad. When the majority says those things, that's when she agrees. That's when majoritarianism is great. just when majoritarianism says that screw casteism, let's all be united as Hindu brothers and sisters, can't we? That's when she has a problem.
Of the RSS, Mohan Bhagwat said it was non-negotiable that India is a Hindu state. Modi is a member of the RSS. Of course, he's rowing us in that direction.
So we've stopped being sick.
Okay, so Arundhati Roy obviously now needs to be taught what is a Hindu state according to Mohan Bhagwat, RSS, Hindu Mahasabha. Guys, I have made a video on Hindu Mahasabha's draft constitution. It's called something like Hindu Rashtra. Is Hindu Rashtra the Hindu version of Saudi Arabia? Okay, let me just check it out. I forgot the name of my own video. Let me just show you. You all need to check this video out because I made a detailed description of the Hindu Mahasabha's draft constitution, which spoke of the exact same kinds of rights for all minorities, etc., regardless of them being a minority. But there was obviously uniformity on those laws. She obviously does not know that. She thinks Hindu Mahasabha's Hindu Rashtra is the equivalent of Muslim Hindu Rashtra. Wait, where is my video? There are a lot of good videos which went unnoticed before Kantara. So thanks to Guliga and Panjuli Deva. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm getting close. I think somewhere here. Yeah, this is the video, okay. Hindu Rashtra Constitution, Fundamental Rights, Hindu Secularism. You all need to check this video. And Arundhati Roy needs to check this video out.
No, the problem is that this idea of a Hindu majority is problematic because since the 19th century, they have been trying to construct this political Hindu majority, starting with.
So, we should not be united as Hindus. We should be divided on caste lines.
Jatpat, Todak Mandal, and Arya Samaj. Later on, the RSS.
She's criticizing the Hindus standing up against casteism. What is she saying? Okay, let's take some comments. I just today added all of the good ones in my watch letter. Thank you. What do you think about Justice Abhijit Gangopadhyay in his jurisdiction primary teacher recruitment scam is on trial? Yeah, so he's the guy with the mustache, right? Who gave a 3-hour interview on ABP Anando. He's doing some things which are a bit problematic, and it seems all great now. But in his heart, he also has basically standard run-of-the-mill liberal socialist ideas. But right now, it's getting some people justice. But they are on the streets protesting for 6 years, 7 years. They can't get a job. So I wonder what they are going to teach in schools. আচ্ছা দাদা, এই যে বিজেপি রাজ্য সভাপতি সুকান্ত মজুমদারকে আমার আলু ভাতে পাবলিক মনে হয় না, এনাকে দিয়ে রাজনীতি হবে বলে মনে হয়। So Saptarshi Adhikari is asking, the BJP state president in Bengal, Shukanta Majumdar, he is actually a very learned person but very nice and soft spoken. Aren't these people incompetent for Bengal's politics? Well, we'll see what the results are, because Dilip Ghosh was not alu bhate, and even he did not get the results everyone thought everyone would have. But obviously Dilip Ghosh got the state to 72 seats for BJP. I personally like Dilip Ghosh more than Shukanta Majumdar, but I don't have a problem with Shukanta Majumdar because at the end of the day there is Shubhendu Adhikari who knows ground level politics inside out.
This came, Hindu is a very diverse community, a community divided into castes which are often antagonistic to each other. So the process of trying to create this so-called majority is.
Yes, because there's a pressure cooker, and in the 1800s or the 1900s, that's when Hindus realized we can't take this anymore. And in 2014, they finally put the final nail in the coffin of playing around with and flirting around with Congress and Marxism, that none of this is working for the country nor for Hinduism, and it's very, very dangerous for Hindus what's going on in the country, and we need to unite. We did not need to unite before there was a threat, okay? So understand why it happened in the 19th century or in the 18th century. Because there was so much of a threat. Talk about the threat instead of the response to the threat.
It's a very violent one, and it will fail, you know.
What's the violent part about it? Retaliation. Retaliation is a problematic part, not the thing causing the retaliation.
Agonistic to each other. So the process of trying to create this so-called majority is a very violent one, and it will fail. You know, it has
but
to
you're
fail.
not answering my question. Are we becoming a Hindu majoritarian
Yes,
state? Have
we
we
are.
ceased to be secular?
Well, this government is rowing us in that direction. That's where it wants to go.
This government
Sounds like a compliment, but she means it as a criticism. Let's see some comments. It's nice that so many Bengalis can type in Bengali. Yes.
doesn't want India to be secular.
Obviously,
it wants it to be a Hindu
it's
state.
not a secret. I mean, they keep announcing that, you know.
In your
Doesn't want to be Hindus don't want India to be secular. Where did Karan Thapar get it? Has even he read the Hindu Mahasabha constitution? Has he ever read anything by RSS? Where is the call saying that Muslims will not have any rights or minorities will not have any rights or they'll have lesser rights than Hindus? Who has ever claimed this except the people calling for a genocide?
Jonathan Shell Memorial Lecture you wrote, and I'm going to quote, "The conceit of secularism, hypocritical though it may be, is the only shard of coherence that makes India possible. That hypocrisy was the best thing we had. Without it, India will end." What do you mean by that phrase, India will end?
I mean that in the sense that Yugoslavia ended. I mean that in the
break up?
sense that the Soviet Union ended.
Break up.
Yes, because India is a social contract between a number of religions, a number of castes, a number of ethnicities, speakers of 780 languages. It's a social contract. Now, this vision of a Hindu nation, one language, one religion, one country, it's like trying to distill, let's say, like trying to distill an ocean and fit it into a Bisleri bottle.
That Bisleri bottle was created in 1642 under the guise of Westphalian treaties. Before that, nation states as a concept did not exist. Colonialists thrust that concept of a nation on us, which is why we have to play according to that rule. If you agree that, if you think that India is such a diverse country and it cannot stay together, then don't ask us to subscribe to the nation state model. We'll just go back to being civilizational states. Everyone will be a separate kingdom, and we will collectively be as violent as the older days, because that's when, now you seem to be defending the past India. So even then India was more religious. Every temple was funded by kings. So that's when Indians did not need to be united because there was no threat. Then the threat kept increasing. Then a nation was created. Then that nation was broken up again.
It is a process of extreme violence. So
what is the violence? What about the violence of Nupur Sharma? What about the violence on Hindus? How is she seeing only the violence from Hindus? He thinks it's beneath him, since even the right-wingers don't know it. Maharashtra's Hindu Rashtra definition.
what Modi and his men are doing right now is literally like going around the country, laying a fuse, attacked.
Friendly Vivana is saying that the social contract logic was the only worthy thing she said here, because I don't know any rebuttal to it. There is one rebuttal, that the social contract was, if at all there was such a thing, which was unspoken obviously, that here is a social contract and we adhere to some certain principles and therefore we get to live in a country called India. Either that social contract was skewed in favor of minorities and Hindus got the rough end of the stick, or if there was a social contract for equal treatment of all religions, then that knot has been adhered to. Okay, so what she means as a social contract was a hoax, whether by design, whether deliberately or by mistake. Whatever the case, that social contract was not working. That is the rebuttal.
Attached to strips of dynamite You know, it'll all blow up if they continue this pressure.
Who attaches themselves
Everything
to
that is beautiful about this country is being turned into acid.
Just so the audience are clear, you're saying
after 2014.
India is an ocean that comprises many different aspects, people, cultures.
Yes, and that has always happened for 6,000 years. That is called a civilizational state. That is when Kashmir was an integral part of India, which you don't believe in.
Religions, ethnicities, and to try and pour it all into a Bisleri bottle is what the attempt to make India a Hindu country is
Free promotion for Bisleri.
like.
Yes.
You are converting an ocean into a Bisleri bottle, which is why the country would.
Yes, that is called a nation state. That is what was done when India was turned into a nation state from a civilizational state. That bottle had already been made, and people who were in the bottle, okay, majority of people who were in the bottle were being oppressed, and now those people are saying we'll have a different kind of material in the bottle. That's all. No one is saying now let's get into a bottle. The bottle was already done in 1642 in Europe and in 1947 in India.
Will break up.
Yes.
You
Eventually,
really-
in time, yes.
You really are predicting the Balkanization of India.
I've been reading about the Balkans and it gives me the shivers, you know.
Don't Marxists love extrapolating bullshit that happened elsewhere? Okay. Even we know partition is always on the cards if people who hate India keep living in India. But just because she's reading about Balkans now she's all of a sudden very afraid that India is going to break up, and that's apparently because of Hindus.
Because you are seeing a process of violence that is being laid out.
Violence.
You're seeing.
She has said violence about 10 times in the last 2 minutes. She has not given any example, except that one call for genocide by one guy who was actually arrested and then out on bail because of the judges.
Something huge and diverse being shrunk and hardened, it will blow apart, you know.
How
Already you
soon?
heard-
How
al-
soon? Do you have a
that
timeline
I
in
don't
mind?
know, but already
Okay, wait, I missed a question by Saptarshi. He thinks it's been. Acha, why is Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay more famous in Bengali literature than Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay? Is it that Bengalis don't like Hindu nationalists? Yes, that is why. Oh, Dada. Yeah, you have actually answered yourself in the question.
you heard what this man Yogi Adityanath said कि उत्तर प्रदेश केरला और बंगाल और कश्मीर बनेगा, like, you know, let's just keep you in this terrible ditch of no
Bottle.
healthcare, no education, no money, no jobs.
Oh my god, what did she just say? No healthcare, no education. Oh my god. Okay guys, you all need to check out Think School's video on Modi's upcoming plan for India's integrated health system, and she needs to check out Yogi Adityanath's plan for $1 trillion economy for UP. And as for more jobs, Arundhati Roy, when do jobs happen? Jobs happen when capitalists create companies which employ people. Jobs are not created out of thin air just because they read some book by Karl fucking Marx. You hate capitalists. You are against jobs.
We'll throw a few scraps at you, but don't become like Kerala. You know, it's got hospitals, it's got schools, it's got literacy.
Yes, Kerala is the only state that has hospitals and schools. Yes, I did not go to any school in Bengal. I went to, I was a very poor worker. I am uneducated, and I learned to read and write by magic. And of course, education. The literacy rate is so high that everyone becomes literate in Sharia law and goes to join ISIS. Their literacy rate is so high that they kill stray dogs. They do genocides of stray dogs after every few years. So high literacy, bro. Okay, let's see. The very foundation of Maratha Empire, and before that the Vijayanagar Empire, was an awareness of Hindu identity, pretty much. Yeah, let's get those back. Yes. Since the decline of Ashoka's Bharat, this is maybe the first time we are one as a nation. Isn't it amazing? We have to defang the snakes within, or who knows if we actually see the Sone ki Chidiya ever. Yeah. Actually, the Maratha Empire was almost the entire size of India, right? Thou art true, yes. What do you think about the Think School's video on Elon Musk and Twitter? It was in detail of the denial of the fact that it had a left bias, got called out in comments. Okay, interestingly, that is the only video of Think School in the recent few months that I haven't watched. So I'll watch it later and then comment about it.
It's a very, very dangerous situation.
Another aspect of the sort of country we're becoming is the way we treat Muslims and the way we treat Dalits. In your pen, Arthur Miller, Freedom to Write lecture, you say, and I'm quoting you, over the last 5 years, India has distinguished itself as a lynching nation.
Oh my
Muslims
God.
and Dalits have been publicly flogged and beaten to death.
Yeah, before 2014, there were no lynchings of any kind, okay? Lynchings are obviously always bad, and lynchings have unfortunately always happened. Ever since I have been alive, I've been hearing about lynchings for some reason or the other forever. Especially in Bengali, there's a famous term called chor shandehe, chhele dhara shandehe. Every time someone gets beaten up, they just the gang that beats them up says that we thought he's a thief, or we thought he's a child abductor, a child kidnapper. So let's beat him up. If he dies, he dies. Now, those lynchings always have happened, and those kinds of lynchings have also happened after 2014. Some of them actually had a Hindu-Muslim angle to it, and a lot of them did not have any Hindu-Muslim angle to it. It was just coincidentally a Hindu beating up a Muslim, and those got clumped into a Lynchistan narrative, obviously. We know this. But Karan, Thapar and Arundhati Roy are conveniently ignoring this. It's like saying, if I am a musician and I beat up, let's say I'm a guitarist and I beat up some drummer because we fought over a fried rice maybe, and then the newspaper reports it that guitarist beats up drummer, and then that's the narrative that India hates its drummers. India is a hellhole fascist state against drummers. India is a pro guitarist fascist nation. Okay. What do you think? Okay, Maratha Empire didn't last any time though. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, still counts. We didn't just go from Mughals to Brits. Yes. Arundhati has right-wing values, but is extremely confused and has terrible assumption. Let us know some stuff. I'm not saying this sarcastically. I actually don't know what are her right-wing values. It would be great to discuss that. A century of Maratha Empire, right? More comments. Jats and Gujars sometimes lynch people here in Gurugram for stealing alone in public. Yeah. So remember something happened in Assam at around 2018 or 19. There's a place in Assam called Karbi Anglong. The tribal people who live there are called Karbi people. So they are also known for being very protective about their land, and any Assamese Bengali who goes there and is found doing anything that they find suspicious gets beaten up. And it has happened more than once that someone has gotten beaten to death. Once I think it was a Bengali, and in 2018 it was two Assamese guys. One of them, their names were Nilutpal and Abhijit. You can see their cases are still going on. There's a huge Facebook group for that. Nilutpal was a drummer and a light designer in a disco in Goa, something like that. He was a very good musician. He used to also play the guitar. His Instagram profile was filled with his music posts and different kinds of things. He was experimenting in the field of light engineering. Then he comes home in Guwahati to hang around the place called Karbi Anglong, because it's an absolutely beautiful place. And he goes with his friend Abhijit in a car, goes to Karbi Anglong. Then till date we don't know the exact details that what happened between them. Someone in the village spread the rumor that these two guys are child abductors because they have come with a big car and stuff. And immediately in WhatsApp groups it circulates. People gather, a crowd gathers, and they get beaten up, and they get beaten to death on camera with countless videos. You won't find much of them on YouTube now, but I have seen those videos. Literally, he's getting killed slowly, gradually, with every hit of a bamboo stick, and they are going on pleading that I am Assamese, please let me go, my father's name is that, my mother's name is that, this. And after they get killed, they still keep beating them up. Their body is destroyed, as obviously. But no, not one person in India called it an act of hate crime or racism. That was literally the most obviously racist attack I have ever seen in my life in India. There was nothing other than racism in that. No one called it out. That was a lynching. That was racism. That was a hate crime. But somehow people want you to believe that all the racism in the world happens in USA and New Delhi. There's no racism elsewhere. Then remember, CPIM got into this controversy decades back. Some CPIM workers were accused of burning up some sadhus on a bridge called Bijon Setu. They burnt alive some Anandamargi sadhus. They dragged them out of their cars and then set petrol on them, and then they burnt them up. And their defense was the same thing. We thought they are child abductors. There was no lynching then. India was not a lynchistan then. Is USA funding this woman? Well, somehow or the other, directly or indirectly, because who buys her books? How many books do you think she sells in India? American think tanks obviously have some amount of investment in her. Not directly, maybe you can't prove that in a legal sense of the term. But obviously Americans have spent a lot of money on her. Bodo people, I don't know if they are part of Bodo. I think Bodo is different. They are just known as the Karbi people. Those not thou thinks that Bengalis living in Bangladesh should flee to India. Hindu Bengalis should, obviously. Hindu and Buddhist Bengalis should flee to India.
By vigilante Hindu mobs in broad daylight, and the lynch videos then gleefully uploaded to YouTube.
Bijon Setu was also in broad daylight. Karbi Anglong started in broad evening light, then it went on up till night.
Are we becoming a brutal country? Or maybe more accurately I should ask, are we being brutalized by our government?
Yes, government was going around doing the lynchings.
See, we have always been a brutal country.
Thank you.
We're not becoming, we have always been a brutal country. There has
By always obviously means I hope she means one side, and only after 47.
not been a day when the Indian army, since independence, when the Indian army has not been, let's say, deployed against its own people, whether it's in the
Its own people meaning its own people who don't want to be its own people. That's an interesting way to call those people your own people. Those own people don't want that state to remain in that own people's country.
the northeast, whether it's in Kashmir, Hyderabad,
What's common among all these states, huh, Arundhati Roy? Hyderabad, Northeast, and Kashmir. What's the similarity between these three areas?
Also, any country that practices caste in the way we do is a brutal country, because that is a
Yes, we practice caste the way too is a brutal thing, because there's no casteism anywhere else in the world. Because if Taylor Swift, I just ask out Taylor Swift tomorrow, she's going to marry me in USA. That's what she thinks. No guys, casteism is alive and well. That's why Virat Kohli marries Anushka Sharma, not a girl from my neighborhood. That kind of casteism will always stay. Musicians marry other musicians, actors marry other actresses, a rickshaw puller marries a housemaid, an academic marries most of the time an academic. That's the casteism we have today. And let's judge it. Let's compare it more accurately. Who were Brahmins? Brahmins were people of the society who collectively, the community, decided that let's fund these people. They don't have to make their own earnings. We give them alms. Bhiksha is not begging. We give them alms because for us, we don't have the time to read up Vedas. We will fund them so that they read up Vedas, Upanishads, and then they teach us the wisdoms, whatever wisdom they gathered from that. How is that anything different from what our liberal arts academia does today? They don't ever get a job. Abhijit Banerjee has never done any job for a salary. He survives on tenure and stipend. Amartya Sen has never worked for a company. Sanjeev Sanyal has. He has been a global strategist for Deutsche Bank. So, fair enough. That's how some knowledge production will have to happen. Everyone can't be Sai Deepak, like I said an hour back. There's only one Sai Deepak. who keeps aside all his profession commitments, does that job perfectly, and then out of the blue becomes a great academic. So if we take into account that normal people can't live that lifestyle, okay, so we will fund them, and instead of that, those academics look down upon us and what they accuse Brahmins of doing. So how are today's liberal arts academics any different from what they accuse Brahmins of being? And what is the difference between that casteism and today's casteism? Who are those people who are calling for shoot at sight orders for people who are violating lockdown norms? They were all these educated people. Academics have always defended lockdowns. Academics are the ones who run their careers on our funding. They are the Brahmins, they are the oppressive Brahmins of today. It's like two monkeys scratching each other's backs. Yes, of course. আমি সত্যি ভাবিনি তুমি শেক্সপিয়ারের ইংলিশ পড়তে পারবে. I am actually a big fan of the Julius Caesar play. He's saying that he didn't think I could read Shakespeare in English. Okay. Japan, South Korea, all these developed countries have caste system. Really, it was a shocker. Yeah. वैसे पूरी वीडियो देखेंगे? Yeah, I plan to. Let's see. How long has it been? I can't see my own duration from here. Let me know how long has it been, okay? Then we'll decide. We can do this some other day. This is fun. There's so much content to talk about. We haven't even reached the halfway point, so maybe we don't need to do it anymore. Have you seen that news about England recent census and Muslim majority? How it has happened? Actually, Muslims haven't reached majority. Muslims, I saw the census data. Muslims are, I guess, some below 5%. But they are the second highest population. But Christians became 46%. That's, as far as I know, that is the case. And that has happened because of their white guilt. Obviously, they let anyone in the country. England and Sweden is done. I heard from some American conservatives that Jews in Stockholm these days have to hide their yarmulke, the topi they wear as a religious symbol. They take it out of their head, they fold it and put it in their pocket, and then they pass through some neighborhoods who may want to kill them. That's the scene in Sweden. And then white girls have stopped going to some neighborhoods after 7 p.m. That's the case. So England and Sweden will be gone by the time I'm dead. I'm sure I'm going to be alive to see the demise of Sweden and England. Almost more than 2 hours. Okay, so let's set a boundary. Let's watch up till 15-16 minutes. Let her finish this point. We'll be respectful towards her and then pick it up from here on some other day.
Brutal hierarchy that can only be kept in place by the permanent threat of violence and the, let's say, the...
Okay, an hour 52 minutes. So let's complete it. We'll watch it for another 8 minutes. We'll do a full 2 hour.
Frequent demonstration of violence, social, sexual, psychological. You've seen it in Hathras, in Kailanji, or day after day after day.
Yes. Hathras incident never happened before 2014. As if there was a Hindu angle to that as well. What is she saying? And what did she mention? All the other angles?
Demonstration of violence, social, sexual.
Yes, there has been no sexual violence before 2014, and there has been no sexual violence in Pune in the last 2 months.
Psychological. You've seen it in Hathras.
Psychological violence. Listening to her video is a psychological violence for me. Although I'm doing it out of my own accord. But it showed up on my news feed, so I think the wire is oppressing me.
In Kailanji, or day after day after day. So, and that violence is a social violence that is happening while the government, I mean, let's say political parties are actually trying to woo the Dalit vote. But when it comes to Muslims...
So, no one should woo Dalit votes. Only Dalit parties should woo Dalit votes. What do you think about Vedanta Society? I have heard that name. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I don't know about Vedanta Society. The reason for lynching and vigilantism in Bharat and also downfall of Western society at the feet of Islamism may be somewhere the weakness in modern day law enforcement agencies. Not just law enforcement agencies, and what are the punishments given out? Those are also a bit debatable.
when it comes to Christians, the rape, the massacres, the lynching, the killing, if you're involved in it, there's a good
massacre. Massacre. She said there's a massacre of Christians. Where is she getting this data from?
chance that you will be inducted into.
Someone fact check her. Massacres of Christians. What is she saying?
To the BJP, you'll be garlanded, you'll be made a minister, God knows, one day you'll make.
Yeah, and now people obviously have the counter argument that BJP actually let out the rapists of Bilkis Bano, which I absolutely disagree with. I have made a video on it. They should not have done this. It was a very bad move. But it was unfortunately legal because there's a limit to life sentence. If someone is not hanged, they are going to be let out after some years, and if their behavior is good in jail, they have to be let out. You can't change the law after someone is someone has received the verdict. They only received so much attention, but many other people are left out that way. There was one legendary rape case because it was so brutal in the 80s. Some woman, I think her name was Anuradha or something. She was a nurse who was raped so brutally. Her chains were tied around her neck that she went blind and paralyzed. She spent the rest of her life on a hospital bed, and she went crazy. She went blind. She did not go fully crazy, and all the nurses took care of her, who were her colleagues. That is, and then that man is also now out, and some newspaper guys, journalists, figured out who that man was. They went and found him 20 years, 30 years later, and asked him, "What's up, bro? How's your life now?" And that guy said, "No, please leave me alone. I have left that behind me. I now have a family. I'm just working hard to take care of them." Their names have been changed, of course. So that's the scene with our legal system. If you don't hang them, that's what's going to happen. Don't pretend like this is the first time that's happened. You can't change the law right at the moment when you think that, no, this person coming out of the jail is a problem. That can't work. Pakde gaye. Vedanta Society was established by Swami Vivekananda in New York. Okay. Yeah, that's where I have heard it. Please remember to check out Praveen Mohan. Okay. Maybe she's equating the anti-forced conversion law that's coming to massacring Abrahamic religion. Yeah, that's her metaphorical explanation maybe. Kuch bhi bol raha hai auntie.
Make it to Prime Minister, to Home Minister, anything could happen. And inside this communal polarization, Karan, I think one very important thing we have to remember is, like Amit Shah went to Karan and made that comment about.
So, communal polarization. There was no communal polarization before 2014. That's why Waqf board happened. That's why Hindu temples were controlled by governments, which is still controlled by governments. That's why Kashmir was treated differently. There was no communal polarization then. She does not have a problem up till the time Hindus are subservient and submit before everyone else, religious Hindus. That's what she believes is the absence of communal polarization. When Hindus stand up for themselves, that's called communal polarization. Hence, we can say not just law enforcement agencies, law itself, it has serious problems. Yes, that's why amendments happen. Swami Sarvapriyananda is the famous Maharaja of Vedanta Society of New York. Okay.
हम लोग तो 3 साल से मुगल से लड़ रहे हैं, and using Mughals as a euphemism for Muslims.
Is that very unfair, using Mughals as a euphemism? Who says Aurangzeb is a respectable man? Who worships Aurangzeb? Who says Aurangzeb is the wali?
Continuous sort of portrayal of Muslims as the descendants of conquerors.
I think she has not heard the word Ashraf. Ashrafs are literally the descendants of conquerors, at least according to Ashrafs themselves.
Christians as some agents of the West.
Okay, if Christians, obviously all Christians are not agents of the West, but she just mentioned that Indian Army has to have a rough approach in Hyderabad, Northeast and Kashmir. So again, what are the similarities in those areas? She's Christian by the way. Yeah, her mom was Christian. Susanna Arundhati Roy. And her mom actually fought for the rights of Christian women to get divorced, as far as I remember. You should read Vishalla Vampant by Rajiv Mishra. Okay. She is Christian, by the way. कुछ religion system पर भी कुछ collegium system पर भी बनाओ. Really, so that's why.
In truth, the fact is, caste is wrapped up in this. Because millions of Indians converted to Islam, converted to Christianity, converted to Sikhism to escape the oppression of.
Yes, this is a famous argument, of course. This will take an entire video, but let's discuss it a little bit here. People converted to Islam and to escape casteism. So, why did Latin America become Christian? Why did Egypt become Islamic? Why did Spain become Islamic and then again became Christian? Why hasn't pre-Abrahamic religions and faith systems survived anywhere on earth? Why does Africa, in the entire continent of Africa, only 8 to 9% of people today practice their indigenous faith systems? How was Brahminical hegemony and Brahminical patriarchy harming the people of Latin America, Africa, Europe, and Egypt? Everywhere people were converting because of Brahminism. Arundhati Roy, what are you saying? And secondly, they escaped. Even if I concede the point that they escaped casteism and then they joined Islam happily, there was no force. There was no issue of not being able to afford jizya. There was no historical disadvantage from some people having to pay jizya and some people not having to pay jizya for 600 years. But interestingly, those people still remained poor and oppressed by the ashrafs. So, क्या हुआ casteism से भाग के? Do you know any books that showcases the massacres that happened in our country in the last 1,000 years since the invasion began? If not, should we start telling authors like JSD Vikram Sampath to make them? No, I don't think we should ask JSD to make those. JSD has already set out a different line of thinking. Vikram Sampath, I think will do it someday. So right now I have one book at least, Reclaiming Hindu Temples by, what's her name? Dr. Chandni Sengupta. She has detailed all the destruction of Hindu temples, which has obviously been done by Sitaram Goel also. Dr. Koenraad, elst, all of them have done those things, specifically on Hindu temples. So when they talk about destruction of Hindu temples, they will all obviously talk about genocides. But I don't know of any book that speaks specifically about the genocides. So that's a good point you make. I think that will come out in due time. Someone will think of it. But we should start asking some people to do it. You can ask Dr. Chandni Sengupta, ping her and tag her in Twitter and say, because she has a degree in history. She's a PhD in history. She has already experience of writing books. This book has come out from that Gadur publication. Maybe she can bring out the next book from more mainstream acceptable publications like Penguin or Bloomsbury. जब साहेब्स आई थी तब लगा नहीं था कि ज़्यादा पॉपुलर होगी, पर अब बस मिलियन व्यूज़ क्रॉस करने वाले हैं. नाइस. कैन सजेस्ट अ लिस्ट ऑफ बुक्स नाउ और मेक अ वीडियो प्लीज़. List of books on what, bro? Some of my favorites book in my home that I can mention right now is, or at least I can tell you what are the books I'm reading. See, Sanjeev Sanyal's books are absolutely necessary. If anyone's not aware of much of Indian history, their starting point should be Sanjeev Sanyal, because it's very easy to read, because he's a popular historian, he's not an academic historian. And then Sai Deepak's India That Is Bharat and India Bharat Pakistan. Right now I'm reading the English unabridged translation of Brahma Puran by Bibek Debroy. I'm reading Sri Aurobindo's The Life Divine, which is difficult as fuck, but very rewarding. I'm reading some fantasy because I'll go crazy if I just keep reading about politics, because everything I read on politics, no matter which side of the aisle I'm reading from, I always get pissed off with someone because, oh, this happened. Oh, wait, this I didn't know. So I can't take that all the time. So I'm reading some fantasy. I'm on the third part of a 4-series book called Fallen, and wait, I forgot the name of the series. Fallen and Faithful and the Fallen. That's the name of the series. And the books are called Malice, Valor, Ruin and Wrath. It's by an author called John Gwynne. It's like high level politics like Game of Thrones, but more concise and fast paced than Game of Thrones. And then I'm nearly finishing the book by B.B. Lal on Rigvedic people. And what else am I reading? I've read Sanjay Dikshit's Unbreaking India. That's a very necessary book to read if you want to know India's partition, the history of India's partition, what are the things that led to it. And India Bharat Pakistan is also a great book, but since it's a longer book, I'm saying you can maybe start with Sanjay Dikshit's book. What else? That's a book by Tim Kennedy. That's just a motivational sort of a book because of his hardships in his life. I'm reading the Arthashastra. I'm reading Conundrum, obviously, by Anuj Dhar. And I'm reading one great Bengali book. I'm going on reading it because it's a huge book. It's called Bangali Itihash. Since you are Bengali, you can read this. It's very well written. It's in Shuddha Bangla, but it's very well written because you will feel like you're reading a thriller even when you're learning about Bengal's geography. This is only in the ancient period, not in the medieval period. The book is called Bangali Itihash by Nihar Ranjan Rai, and the foreword is by Jodunath Sarkar. Am I reading anything else? I'm in the middle of what's the sequel of Meluha. I haven't read it for many days. I'll need to pick it up. Yeah, Nagas by Amish Tripathi. What else am I in the middle of? Wait, there's one great book, Bengali book by Shopan Kumar Thakur. It's called Bonge Ram Puja or Ramayan Sanskriti. So the Bengalis who say that Ram is an outsider god, Bengalis never worshipped Ram historically, all that has been debunked in that book by Shopan Kumar Thakur. It's a collection of different articles purely based on field surveys. Let's see. K.S. Lal book on massacres. Okay, I did not know about that. Review Dhruv Rathi sometime. Yeah, maybe. Flight of Deities by Dr. Meenakshi Jain. Yes. Dhruv has already become defanged. लग ही नहीं रहा है कुछ wokeness बची भी है उसमें. Okay. Please make something about Rigvedic people, please. I have actually read out the book in some of my videos. If you check out my playlists, you will see one playlist called The Rigvedic People by B.B. Lal. If you're talking about specifically that book. Other than that, if you want me to talk about Rigvedic people, then I'm not the best guy. For that, there is Abhijit Chavda.
Caste, So these are victims of the Hindu caste system that are now being portrayed as the descendants of conquerors.
But what is the point you're making?
They are being portrayed as descendants of conquerors only when they are saying that they are Ashrafs. If they are not claiming to be Ashrafs, then they are not being portrayed as descendants of Muslim conquerors. And as I said, if there was only casteism here that caused conversions, why did every other country in the world convert to Islam and Christianity?
The point I'm making is that the brutality, the polarization, all of it is wrapped up in the social structure of this country. And it's not just the government, creating a situation. It is also society that has practiced brutality. And the point I'm making is that the Hindu
But
Muslim,
is the government encouraging the brutal side of our historical character?
Of course it is. It's not just encouraging, it's igniting, it's exploiting, it's working the fault
So the government is also brutalizing us.
See, she gave a compliment to the government. And immediately she realized, oh no. I gave a compliment. Kya hoga? Let's criticize again. Listen to this. This was very interesting. She said that the government is bringing out the brutalities of past conquerors. And she says, yes, they are bringing out. And then she realizes immediately that, no, are ye to compliment ho gaya?
Brutal side of our historical character.
Of course it is. It's not just
someone clip this. Someone make a clip out of it and put it everywhere. That, see, Arundhati Roy giving such a big compliment to this government.
Encouraging, it's igniting, it's exploiting, it's working the fault
So the government is also brutalizing us.
Of course.
What kind of an inference was this? What? I don't have a name for this kind of thinking. What did Karan Thapar just do? Encouraging and bringing out the brutalities of past conquerors is equal to being a brutal person yourself. So literally anyone who talks about brutal acts in history is doing brutal things himself or herself. That is Karan Thapar's argument right now.
The point I'm making is that the Hindu
But
Muslim,
is the government encouraging the brutal side of our historical character?
Of course it is. It's not just encouraging, it's igniting, it's exploiting, it's working the fault
So the government
lines.
is also brutalizing us.
Of course it is. I mean, that is not even in question. You know?
Against this.
Wait, let me guess something. Arundhati Roy actually laughed because Karan Thapar said something so stupid, but she realizes that she shouldn't do it right now. She masks her laughter with other words, but she actually laughed at Karan Thapar, not with him.
This background, I want to come to what I suppose is the key issue I want to ask you. Has India become a fascist state?
Oh, key issue. 17 minutes से key issue चल रहा है. Let's take some comments. Yeah, nice logic, Gagan. Easy popularity. Still, I feel it's important to debunk his fake narratives. Like, pick one most watched videos benefits us to get views. Yeah. Any books that have hint of temple angle won't get accepted worldwide now. Yeah. To help in Leicester-like issue, we need to bring books like the ones the Jews made regarding their massacres in history. Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. किसी को भूख लग रही है? I will message those authors you mentioned to write these types of books. Yeah. Yes, JSD is busy. I meant his next works after finishing his India, that is Bharat series. Yeah, but yeah, if he has such a great research eye, maybe if he does it, it will be better than everyone else.
In the introduction to your book, Azadi, you write, and again I'm quoting you, the infrastructure of fascism is staring us in the face, and yet we hesitate to...
Karan Thapar sounds like Shakespeare right now. Do you know Nrsimha Prasad Bhaduri? He is from Bengal. You should check YouTube channel too. His name sounds very familiar, but I don't know who he is. Some time ago, like an year ago, I would have felt uneasy watching this. Now it just feels they have been left far behind. Actually, yes.
Call it by its name. What are the signs of fascism that you see around us? What are the signs that are staring...
Hey, does anyone need a water break or a pee break? I'm going to the toilet, guys. Let's take a break. We'll come back and listen to this some more because this is so hilarious. I'm having fun. Let's take a break. 5 minutes or just 1 or 2 minutes. Hello, hello. Yeah. Some time ago. Opuda bhaduri mashai ki bhalo. Leftists are fun. Every content piece of this is an opportunity for us to train ourselves in debating. Yes, and we should keep doing that. That's how new JSDs, Sai Deepaks will come about. Debating, refuting, and building engrams in our brains. Yes. Okay, so resuming, guys.
Us in the face that we won't recognize and call by its name.
Okay. So I was expecting the fascism question to come. So what I have done.
Oh, finally we have arrived at fascism. Nice.
That you see around us. What are the signs that are staring us in the face that we won't recognize and call by its name?
Okay. So I was expecting the fascism question to come. So what I have done, I have written down a list of what are accepted to be signs of fascism, not just in India but generally. I'm going to read it out and you're going to tick the box, or our audience is going to tick the box. And
remember a famous quote by Ben Shapiro. He says in his book, How to Debate Leftists and Destroy Them, that when you are debating a leftist, and you'll realize when I say this that how true it is. He says, always argue the premise first with leftists. Don't bother about their argument itself. Argue their premise first. There are always hilarious bullshit premises that they build up, and on top of that they base their arguments. So, see, she has obviously come up with some Nazi tendencies fascism tendencies that she sees in India, and we will get to how her premises are wrong, which I can tell are false, are wrong premises. Wait, not nowadays though. Their points have become outdated and have been already debunked several times. Actually true, yeah. But they are just they just seem to be left in past. But yes, they have been debunked many times. But we need to keep doing that because who knows if a kid is watching maybe my video today for the first time, or maybe 5 years down the line again someone makes a video debunking Arundhati Roy or people like her, and so maybe that opens some more eyes. So we need to keep on doing this for forever, because that's what they actually have also done for decades and decades and decades. They have told us these arguments, and that's how they have ingrained people in this ideology for generations. They did not stop just because Soviet Union happened. They did not stop just because Congress came to power instead of Hindu Mahasabha. So we can't ever afford to stop. She's going to repeat the Mohamitra speech, I see. He has done deep research about Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay, you should check for us. Okay. Joker to joke. Yeah.
See if you recognize, okay, any of these signs. Because it's a loose word, people throw it around. So I did this little bit of homework because I predicted this question. Okay. 1. A deep social crisis which is seen as a threat to existing social hierarchies. That is the...
She literally quoted every Marxist in India. That's what they think, and that's why they think that Marxism needs to come to power. And of course Marxism is fascism in a way, but even Congress is. They think they need to come to power because the existing hierarchies which is going on from 2014 to 2022, that is harming their hierarchies, and they need to come to power to save us from this ongoing destruction to their social hierarchy. So she just made a point about any political ideology ever.
The beginning, okay. So we had the Mandal Commission report come out. We had the fear of now the coming of...
Jogendranath Mondal begs to differ.
Reservations for the OBCs, we had the anti-Mandal protests, and you had the rise of the new caste parties, Mayawati's party, Lalu Yadav, Mulayam Yadav. Okay, 1. 2. A longing for some mythic national past, fantasizing about a super pure racial Superman.
Hindus have not ever talked about Hindu Superman, but racially superior has never been the case of any civilizational state. And also, mythical past is not the case when there is an actual historical past. And obviously, every Marxist is very weak in history and economics. But maybe she thinks Mahabharata and Ramayana were mythologies. So even though they are literally called itihasa, itihasa means itihi asa, which means this is indeed what happened in Sanskrit. But other than that, she can read any history book. India's glorious past is not a myth, even by Marxist historian standards. She is actually disagreeing with a lot of Marxist historians as well now. If there was no mythic so-called glorious past, why do we even need post-colonialism as an academic school of thought? What's bad about colonialism then? That mythical past was bad, so colonialists obviously did a better job, so we should have kept up with them. There's no mythic past. So Emperor Vespasian, during the time of Emperor Vespasian, Pliny the Elder is saying in his Senate that in Emperor Vespasian's Senate that we need to stop doing business with India because we have such a big trade deficit, because we are importing so much stuff from India and they are not importing our stuff. So we are running out of coins. The problems that USA today faces with China, that's exactly what was happening between Greece and India. So mythic past, bro. Yes, they need to be continuously debunked. Yes, but the initial debunking has helped a lot. Yes, of course, that's what I'm a product of. Exactly like Mahua.
And restoration of national vitality. Recognize it? Okay. Society.
Karan Thapar doesn't actually respond, but she says, understood? Okay. Wink, wink. Got it?
That believe Brahmins are Bhudevas just has to make a lateral shuffle. Okay, in this one. A mass movement with the support of some sectors of the national ruling class, Advani's Rath Yatra, which comes up, and simultaneously the movement to demolish the Babri Masjid.
Okay, what?
And restoration of national vitality. Recognize it? Okay. Society that believes Brahmins are Bhudevas just has to make a lateral shuffle. Okay, in this one. A mass movement with the support of some sectors of the national ruling class, Advani's Rath Yatra, which
What is Bharatiya Roj Yatra then? Okay, that's not a ruling class. So if Congress was in power and then they did a Bharatiya Roj Yatra, that would be a fascism act. What is she saying?
Comes up, and simultaneously the movement to demolish the Babri Masjid and
movement to demolish Babri Masjid. Yes, obviously she missed the part where there were court cases for years and years and decades to reclaim the temple, and when that went to hell, that's when people lost their patience.
Simultaneously, the Indian market opens and privatization comes in, which is going to now mitigate the whole business of reservation, which has become a...
So privatization is also a representation of fascism. So USA is also a fascist state now. 2 hours 23 minutes. On last stream I asked you to check out 21 notes. What do you think about them? Basically making Valmiki Ramayana in easy to understand form. I have not been able to check it out because of some ailments in my family, and I'll check it out someday.
Huge issue now in the UP elections. The emergence of a single dominant authoritarian party, the fabrication of internal or
single dominant authoritarian party, because too many people in India believe that this one party is good enough. So that's a problem. Too many people should not believe in one party. That's her idea of a democracy. India should always have a coalition of 50 parties and then they break up after every 5 years and we have a prime minister every 6 months, like the 90s. That's her idea of a non-fascist democracy.
External threat to the nation, often racial, religious or ethnic in form.
So what is Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam? What is Ghazwa-e-Hind? What is Nazariya-e-Pakistan?
Single dominant authoritarian party, the fabrication of internal or external threat to the nation, often racial, religious.
Fabrication. She's saying Pakistan's threat to India is fabrication. Very small videos. Please put the season 1 in watch later. I see. Okay, I'll check it out.
Or ethnic in form. An attack by an authoritarian state.
Wait, I'll get to this. The thing is, I don't want to read Valmiki Ramayana in abridged forms. Actually, I have read one abridged Ramayana version when I was a kid. It's by a very famous legendary Bengali author called Upendra Kishore Rai Chaudhuri. He wrote a book called Chelader Ramayana, which was like basically Ramayana for the kids. That's the only Ramayana I've ever read. Now I intend to read the entire unabridged critical Ramayana in English, translated by Vivek Debroy. So let's see what other hilarious things she's saying.
The fabrication of internal or external threat to the nation, often racial, religious, or ethnic in form. An attack by an authoritarian state on the working class, and an attempt to suppress any.
Wait. It is fabrication, yes. The actual fascists and Nazis did that because the Jews weren't actually attacking from an outside country. There was no threat to Germany's Christians from Jews, but there is an actual threat from Pakistan. So where is the fabrication? And the working class, she thinks the working class is unhappy with BJP. They were happier under Congress. The working class is happier under Marxism in anywhere in the history of mankind. Working class is happy in Venezuela. Working class is happy in Cuba. Working class is happy in Bengal. Working class was happy in Soviet Union.
Challenge to capitalism, working class, and an attempt to suppress any challenge to capitalism from below. The foreclosure
challenge to what? Challenge to capitalism. Of course, there shouldn't be challenges to capitalism, but suppression. Let's see.
Press any challenge to capitalism from below.
You guys have been challenging capitalism forever, and you all have succeeded. Okay, that has led the country to dogs, and now there is a suppression of ideas against capitalism from the ground level itself. Maybe not entirely. People still get so much free stuff. So where exactly is the suppression of voices against capitalism? No one's voice is being suppressed because of their arguments against capitalism. Voices are being suppressed when they're saying that India should be broken up into 10 pieces. No need to read. Just check out the season 1. You'll get what I'm saying. Okay, I'll check it out.
The foreclosure of democratic or autonomous means of expression.
Where has that foreclosure happened?
Existence of street fighting elements.
Yeah, street fighting elements have started now. There was no street fighting before.
Militias to intimidate, terrorize, and in some cases, murder oppositional forces.
So, 2021 post-poll violence. Who did that? Against whom? And how much of post-poll violence was there in UP after they won the 2021 elections? Or 2022, when did that? Yeah, 2022, right. Not even a fly was hurt. Yogi Adityanath went to work even half an hour before the final declarations happened. Some Pasmanda BJP supporters got beaten up by other Muslims in their villages.
Read RSS militia, Bajrang Dal, VHP.
Scary, bro.
A militarized rhetoric of masculinity, anti-feminism.
Now this sounds like a compliment. She means it as a criticism. Masculinity is bad, guys.
A militarized rhetoric of masculinity.
Militarized rhetoric of masculinity. What else kind of military will there be? And masculinity's rhetoric is obviously militaristic. Masculinity is inherently militaristic, and military is inherently masculine, even if a woman does that. What's the problem exactly here? And anti-feminism, yes, because feminism is bullshit.
Anti-feminism. Casteism, racism in the case.
Yeah, casteism. She now seems to stand up for casteism, even though 5 minutes earlier she was saying that BJP is wooing Dalit voters.
Europe and America, xenophobia.
It's like she lives in her own echo chamber. Yeah, I don't even think she lives in an echo chamber that has other people. I think actually she lives in her own echo chamber. She's the only person in her chamber.
How much more on that
Paranoia.
list? Can I put
Paranoia. There was no paranoia in 1947, which is why we now have 4 countries that have come out of one fucking country.
Susan, the audience listening to you,
Yeah.
at least some of them may say that's just a list of nonsense.
Is it?
And I tell you what they
It
say.
is actually.
They said there are many countries that hark back to a glorious past. Britain does that all the time. There are many
I'm not
countries
talking
that have
about
dominant single-party governments and a weak opposition. That happens in several countries and democracies. You've just put together a list of things and claimed it's fascism.
No, come on. I'm not talking about
No, come on. Karan Thapar tried to play the devil's advocate and actually made some good arguments. Oh shit.
a glorious historical past. I'm talking about a glorious mythical past.
In our case, which is one and the same.
I'm talking about the idea of the Superman, like the super race, like the German.
Who is the Superman? Chandragupta Maurya. Who are we talking about? Who are actually even we talking about? Which she is accusing us of? Maybe Shivaji, but we are talking about Shivaji, Chandragupta Maurya. We have about 50 Supermen. Lachit Borphukan, Sri Aurobindo. We have countless Supermen. So there's not one Superman. And super race, absolutely not. Our entire argument is civilizational, that all of us live together and respect each other's dharma. As I have said countless times in many other videos, read Arthashastra. There are countless arguments, countless instances where Chanakya is writing that the first duty of any king that invades another king's land is to go and learn that place's customs and then join in the processions, join in the celebrations and celebrate according to those customs. You invaded another country for economic reasons. End it there. Battle was fought in the battleground. End of story. And I'll give you another example why that is true. Because in the book that I mentioned, Bangalir Itihash by Nihar Ranjan Roy, it's actually available in English. You all can read it as well. It's called History of Bengalis, I think, by Nihar Ranjan Roy. Okay, it is a book from 1950. So they also believe in Aryan invasion theory because every historian believed in that in those days. But other than that, it's a brilliant research on pre-medieval Bengal. So Nihar Ranjan Roy writes that the common people of Bengal in those days did not even know that another king invaded their land until many weeks later, because obviously there was no communication, and also because there was absolutely no change in their daily life, daily customs, daily worshipping methods. They did not care, they did not know. Sometimes they just got the news, hey, some other king is now ruling us, and they're like, oh, is that the case? Okay, fine, let's go to work now. That was the way invasions happened back then. Looks like she even thinks of Thapar as a lesser being than her elitist wives. Actually, yes. Is she talking about Ram? Probably. Mythical past, glorious past. Oh, yeah, Superman is Ram, probably. Wow, man. Likes is greater than people watching live. Yeah. Some people liked and left. 5 countries in ink blooding Ceylon. I didn't understand your comment here.
Nazis had Aryans, I'm talking about
Aryan. Let's see.
I'm talking about the idea of the Superman, like the super race, like the German Nazis had Aryans, I'm talking about militias, like does Britain have Bajrang Dal and
okay, what she is doing is she's extrapolating whatever Nazis did. That seems familiar, so we'll just extrapolate that here. Now, I want you to check out what Dr. Thomas Sowell, my favorite economist, has said about interpolations. Let's see if I can find the quote. Why extrapolating is bad? Yeah, check out this quote. What she is doing is extrapolating, and let's see what Thomas Sowell says about this. Extrapolations are the last refuge of a groundless argument. Oh, wait, snap. Thomas Sowell debunked Arundhati Roy's interview even without listening to this interview. 5 countries including Sri Lanka. 5 countries including Ceylon. Yeah.
RSS militias, and are they massacring people on the streets?
RSS militia. Where was RSS militia when 2021 poll violence was happening?
Aryans,
It's her mythical fascism that's going on.
I'm talking about militias, like does Britain have Bajrang Dal and RSS militias, and are they massacring people on the streets? Are they organizing Muzaffarnagar and Gujarat and so on?
I tell you why.
Gujarat, yeah. Again, she conveniently forgets that Karsevaks were burned in the trains. What do you think rewriting the NCERT textbook will work on ground? Yeah, it will work on ground. Parents are too lazy to tell their kids what they actually think of subjects. They'll watch IPL and watch serials. So whatever teachers teach them in history books, they will happily learn that. There's no problem with that. But it's it has to be done very carefully. Because after all, our history is very adult, very gory, very brutal. And how much of this gory, brutal things that happened to Banda Bahadur Singh, all the genocides, that's the entirety of India's history if you teach medieval history. It's tough to teach those things to kids of class 5 and 6 and 7. And what if there are actually Muslim students in the class? It's going to be tough to tell them that, see, all your ancestors, all people from your religion are so brutal and have done these things to Hindus of this country. So that's going to be an impossible task anyway. So it's better to completely skip medieval history, leave that for adults, at least in 11, 12 or maybe in college. I suggest teaching actually the glorious past, the mythical past. Teach the good things about India. If you want to teach about medieval India, skip the Godi parts, and therefore you skip the medieval part completely. Don't talk about medieval history and then skip the Godi parts and only pretend that we learned architecture and biryani from Mughals.
It's hard to believe that we've become a fascist state.
No,
because we have a government that buckles under pressure from farmers. We have a press that is sharply critical, at least from some quarters of the government. We have elections where the government is defeated. Modi may win regularly at the national level, but often at the state level.
Oh, devil's advocate gone wrong.
We have a
backfiring Karan.
court and a judge that often checks the government. What they've done over Pegasus is one example.
Oh, Arundhati Roy. She's regretting coming to this interview.
I'm not saying that we have a fascist state. I'm saying that the people in
Wait, what?
That we have a fascist.
Is it really fascism?
I'm not saying that we have a fascist state. I'm saying that the people in power are intrinsically fascist. And
Oh. So, I'm not saying West Bengal is a Marxist state. I'm saying people intrinsically are Marxists. So, intrinsic thinking is now the problem, not their actual actions, bro. Interesting.
and leading us in that direction.
Modi is intrinsically fascist.
Yes, and so is the.
Okay, yes, Modi is intrinsically fascist, maybe. We'll never know what's actually going on in his mind, but what are the actually examples of that? There are none. And as pointed out by Karan Thapar himself just now. So how is Arundhati Roy knowing that Modi is intrinsically fascist and that he's taking the country into that direction? Because the points that she mentioned were just refuted by the leftist interviewer himself.
The RSS.
And the BJP as a whole?
Yes, the RSS ideologues have openly, as we all know, admired Mussolini, admired Hitler, called Muslims the equivalent of the Jews of Germany, all of that. We know all that.
Yes, read one or two of those sentences and read them in full context, Arundhati Roy. You'll have some fun. And also read Periyar's quotes on Hindus, okay, and Brahmins, and read the exact line. Okay, let's check out if we get it here. Periyar, Brahmins, Jews. Let's check out this comment. Periyar called. Let's see if we find the quote here. Dravidian movement, Arundhati Roy. Let's see the quote. Is there a quote here? Okay, you can find that quote in Sham Sharma's video on specifically Tamil Nadu's Dravidian movement. So Periyar's exact quote about Brahmins was exterminate them like the Jews. That's what exactly Periyar said. I hope my video doesn't get monetized because I said this sentence.
You know, we know the declaration of the idea that they want to declare India a Hindu nation. We know the experiments with eugenics. I don't believe
experiments with eugenics. Who was sterilizing people? Which party did Sanjay Gandhi belong to? And which famous actor's mother was a judge who was accompanying Sanjay Gandhi? Okay, on a serious note, do you think a show completely about high quality moderated debates with people from both sides would be a popular thing? Yes, it would be. Somewhat like the Jubilee channel on YouTube. I don't know about that channel, but this should be done by government or at times now whenever they do such debates. Everyone is doing some summit every day, every other weekend, right? Republic, Times Now, print, ANI, even they are buying those footages. I think that will be very popular, and it can be done on even larger platforms. This can be done by the government as well. I'm talking about like presidential election debates. Everyone should be debating everywhere, and debating should be a weekend hangout thing. People should be glued to their people should be gluing their eyeballs to their TVs for watching these debates. They will actually every weekend let the government do something, hold giant intellectuals from both sides and let them have debates. Your last shot in Bengali is great, thank you. Let's see how many of them can debate Sai Deepak.
Frankly, that I believe that they are losing their grip. I don't believe that they will be able to succeed, but I believe that this is a tunnel that we have to go through, and eventually the people of this country will make it a failed experiment.
Okay, she actually gave Hindus a compliment again. She is saying that it's the Hindus who are supporting this Hindu fascist country, and it is actually the country, the people, majority of which are Hindus, they will actually prevent it from happening. And I 100% agree with her. What were we even debating up till now? Just BJP? Oh my God, this was a waste of time.
But let me just understand for the audience. You're not saying we have become a fascist state. Are you saying we're in the process of becoming one?
We are in the process of becoming one, and I would say, like, even 2 years ago, we were very much in danger of that experiment being more successful than it appears to be now, you know.
What's changed?
Huge protests, the farmers' protest.
What kind of a fascism buckles under protest? I don't get this. What did she just say right now? 3 years ago, India was on track to become a fascist state, but it is not so much anymore. What changed that? Protests. And that is an indication of fascism. Wow. I'm just super happy that a movie from South, loosely based on Hanumanji, got 25 million views even today after so much work by these urban Naxals. Yes. They'll feel oppressed by JSD's intelligence. Yes. That's Tamil hegemony.
If you look at what's going on in UP now.
So India is fighting back.
Yes,
the people
yes.
are fighting back.
The people are fighting back.
The people are fighting back and voting for them at the same time, but also at the same time it's heading towards fascism. Oh my God. About 5 or 6 completely contradictory things are happening at the same time. What do you think about new governor of West Bengal? I don't know anything about him. It seems like he wants to maintain some friendly relations with Mamata Banerjee, because you can't get anything done by being antagonistic with the most popular leader in Bengal.
Political parties.
You're saying two slightly contradictory things. We're in the process of becoming a fascist.
Oh, Karan Thapar. Arundhati Roy came to the wrong. Arundhati Roy, I was going to say. Arundhati Roy messed with the wrong marine.
State. 2 years ago, it looked as if we were more likely to become one than it does today. What's changed today is that the people are fighting back. The farmers in particular are fighting back.
Also the people who rose up against the NRC.
But that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but this piece
What
that
is
I
happening?
wrote was before that, you know, before
my
this
God.
protest began.
So what is the situation today? Is
I
today
would
India
say
on the way to becoming a fascist state?
I would say that.
Tell me, is this any different from any interview that would go with Arundhati Roy on Times Now, Republic Now? This sounds like exactly that sort of an interview, because Karan Thapar can't take how weird things, what the magnitude of stupidity that she is showing. Karan Thapar has to step in now and actually do some kind of journalism now. He can't take it anymore.
I would say that, you know, that I
see, this is not directly her argument. It's not the fault of her arguments, actually. This is her fault, because this is the fault of her staying in such a closed echo chamber. She does not know how untested her arguments are. This is the result of her speaking to only her fans and students. She has not shared these arguments with anybody else ever. Why else would Karan Thapar be countering her so brutally? What is happening? Karan Thapar is destroying Arundhati Roy here. अब देखना फिर नहीं देगी इसे interview. Yeah, that's what I think. ज़्यादा ही बोल गए इसके against. This is such a weird interview.
Ideology has somehow saturated. If you look at what's happening.
What does that mean?
It means that in places like UP and the farmers' protests, they have sort of realized somehow that they were being played. You know, they were very much part.
But now you're saying that the threat of becoming
they were being played, and then in UP BJP again won. Okay, so this happened in February 2022, this interview. Let's see, when did Yogi Adityanath come to power for the second time? March. Okay, so in February people of UP realized that they are being played, and in March they went and voted for Yogi Adityanath, and the Muslim vote increased from 7% to 8% in UP. Dear God.
a fascist state is receding.
I think so.
It's receding.
I think so.
So the situation is improving.
I think so. I would say so.
So what you wrote in the Jonathan Shell lecture isn't quite as true today as it was when you wrote it a year and a half ago.
But I think that part
Oh
of,
shit,
part
oh
of the
shit.
thing is
So Karan Thapar is now saying that that the article you wrote is bullshit and irrelevant now. And she has to admit, yes. And then she goes on to say, but, no, but my article is not that bad, you see. And then now she's going to say something else.
so.
So what you wrote in the Jonathan Shell lecture isn't quite as true today as it was when you wrote it a year and a half ago.
But I think that part of the thing is people, writers, protesters, activists, journalists, all of us
Are responding to this.
are recognized it, spoke about it. People listened. People thought about what had happened. If you look at
So,
the
so
conversation,
just to sum up for the audience,
we promise
what
you not.
Oh my God. Karan Thapar needs to be hired by Republic Bharat now. Republic, what's the English version of the Republic channel? Republic India, I forgot the name. But there is so much suppression of voices that they are standing up to the government. Boom, पकड़ी गई. आप हिंदी बोलते हुए भी एकदम नेचुरल लगते हो. मानो मेरे यहाँ के ही हो. I'm from Gurugram. Yes, because I've grown up around Biharis. When I was a child, we had one little hut sort of bamboo, made of bamboo fences. That sort of a piece we had in our living campus, and that's where we had some Bihari tenants who worked as security guards in some local flat, and I had an insanely loving relationship with them. I practically called them grandfather and grandmother in Bengali. I grew up with them, and then I studied for 3 years in a hill station, and there I could not speak Nepali. I could not speak English much. I came from a Bengali medium school until then, and there my neighbors were Biharis, so I had to learn Hindi, and they were my only friends for the first few months.
then is the nature of the danger we face today? Are we still in danger of becoming a fascist
I'll
state?
tell you what I feel is the danger. Sorry, did I do something to that? Anyway,
Don't divert.
I think that what is dangerous is that we have an election machinery that is sort of compromised. We do have a very scattered and disparate opposition.
Election machinery is compromised in one way, that at the end of the day, most elections in India even today happen because of street power. If street power becomes completely irrelevant, like in the case of USA until the 2012 elections, right from 2016, street power became a weapon even in American elections, because the NRI Marxists went there and taught them these things, that see, you can use street power. Like I told in one video that when I started following American politics because of Trump in 2016, I was telling my mom that, mother, do you know, in USA, just because an election happens, no one goes around fighting, and no riots happen, and no shops get broken down, and no curfews happen just because of an election. And in few months it all changed, and now USA's elections are exactly like India's, and the USA's protests are just like India's protests. So NRIs screwed that country up pretty nicely. But anyway, so as long as street power is a factor in India, it can be said that that election machinery is screwed up. But that is not what is happening in UP, the biggest BJP run state. Yogi Adityanath comes to power and not one violence happens. How is that possible? But that happens in Bengal.
Because I think in one way federalism is coming up, you know, and
but you're not answering my question. Are we in danger of becoming fascist?
Just hang on.
Okay, Arundhati Roy is now pissed off with Karan Thapar. I was going to say Karan Johar. Just found out Republic Bharat total views are not even double the views of Dhruv Rathi. Yes, an individual with a 1/5. Boy is making so much money. It's good. Capitalism is benefiting him. Whatever he's earning, I hope he'll spend all that money and contribute to India's GDP. It's good.
So what I'm saying is that that Hindutva card has played itself out now, but the danger is, like, say in a place like UP. I don't know what's going to happen in the election, but let's say the BJP loses the election. I think there will be great danger then, because unless you have a strong...
You think the BJP's defeat in UP will resurrect the danger of fascism?
No. I'm saying when the BJP, if the BJP, let's say, loses the election in UP, it will go back to the business of trying to engineer violence along communal lines, and unless you have a government...
ये engineering violence कभी होता तो है नहीं कभी. Not one riot in Indian history, in post-independence or post-British history, has been started by Hindus. So where is this engineering of violence? Is it like that intrinsically fascism that she accused Modi of? And if she's saying that if BJP loses UP, then the conversations about Hindutva will again come up, then I would just say they are good at their politics. Because let's say if CPIM loses, like CPIM was trying to bring up the Tata factory, right? They were being pro-capitalism for a change. And if they when they lost the elections, that's when they have started becoming more Marxist again. Sometimes they talk about industry and stuff. So it's just their just the political stance. My party's ideology believes in some things, and I'm making some modifications if I'm staying a lot of time in power. And if I lose that, I'll just go back to the basics of my political party's leanings. What's the bad thing about that?
That can actually control that strongly. You might have,
but hang on a second, the BJP lost Rajasthan, it didn't do that. It lost Madhya Pradesh, it didn't do that. They lost Chhattisgarh, they didn't do it.
Karan
They've lost
Thapar,
lots of states elections under Modi.
But UP is UP is very, very important for them.
So actually
UP is very, very important for them. Rajasthan, etc. is not important for them. UP is especially very, very important for them. That's why Yogi Adityanath is the first significant BJP chief minister of Bengal, of UP.
So
prospect of a BJP defeat
is
more worrying for you.
It's not more worrying. It's not more worrying. It's not more worrying. I'm just saying that whoever comes to power next, in case they lose, will have to be very vigilant to make sure that that polarization is not allowed to happen.
But what I don't understand is the confusion that has emerged suddenly. When I asked you, are we in danger of becoming a fascist state? You said 2 years ago the danger was greater. Since then, people are fighting back. You said
Karan
the danger
Thapar
has
is doing
receded.
my job.
But now you're saying a BJP defeat, which should actually, most people say, bury the danger, actually will resurrect it.
It won't resurrect the danger, but it will, I think there will be a huge attempt to resurrect it. And that people have to be on guard about.
Guys, see, when someone was asking in the comment section that should government take steps against these voices, this is why government shouldn't take steps against these voices. See, sunlight is the best disinfectant. I sat down with this video to counter Arundhati Roy, and I didn't know that she was going to say stupid things to such an extent that the liberal journalist would himself counter her and destroy her. What is happening? This is the twist of a lifetime. अभी लग रहा है कुछ फूल के बोलती जा रही थी अभी तक, अब क्वेश्चंस स्टार्ट हुए तो बिल्कुल चेन ऑफ थॉट्स ही हिल गया मैडम. या दैट्स व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन यू हैव नॉट टेस्टेड योर आर्गुमेंट्स विद काउंटर थॉट्स. नो, दैट इज व्हाई Sai Deepak's thoughts are so rock solid, because he has been countered obviously brutally in Twitter. He has been disinvited from colleges. He gets tough questions when he goes to campuses after campuses after campuses. Who goes to campuses and asks her tough questions? Getting questioned may be new to the queen. Absolutely, yes. मेरा माथा खराब हो रहा है. क्या बोल रहा है क्या आंटी कुछ भी. We train our brains to counter leftists. They train to counter the reality itself. Yes. Looks like Karan Thapar is coaching the same.
In other words, a defeated BJP is
Like,
more
let me
dangerous.
put it
A
like-
defeated BJP is more dangerous for India.
He's
than
even
a
interrupting her.
victorious
No,
BJP.
no. But a defeated BJP, let's say in UP, could try and create the kind of turbulence that it created.
But that's what I'm saying. A
in
defeated BJP is more
Karan,
dangerous.
just cool off.
Oh
What I'm
my
saying
God.
is that a defeated BJP, let's say in 2022 UP,
कैमरा से निकाल दिया करण
will
थापर को.
see 2 years to the 2024 election coming, 2 years in which it does not have the responsibility of government and is free to create chaos. And therefore, whatever government comes,
There's something to counter here. So she's saying right now the party is actually busy with the responsibility of the government, and that therefore they are not being able to create chaos. Okay, so if at all we concede the argument that BJP creates chaos, etc., so even that has been stopped because they are busy with governance. And she's saying that when they are not busy with governance, that's when they will start creating chaos. So she is giving a huge compliment to BJP. She is giving a huge compliment to Yogi Adityanath. She's saying Yogi Adityanath is right now too busy to be chaotic. Yogi Adityanath is busy with his chief minister duties. What? This is insane.
and the people in which it does not have the responsibility of government and is free to create chaos. And therefore, whatever government comes and the people involved will have to be very vigilant to not let that happen.
And that's when the danger of fascism becomes stronger.
Yes, because it's not like you can throw a switch and it's over. This has वो तो खून में उतर गया, you know, you have to like
In your
be
Trinity
careful.
College,
Okay, so she's saying fascism खून में उतर गया है. If she thinks Hindutva is fascism, then it's a compliment again. So Hindutva खून में चला गया है अभी, just like Marxism has been in Indians' blood all these years. So yeah, let's end this today, guys. Remember, it's we have watched till 28 minutes 50 seconds. Either tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll again sit and listen to the rest of this absolutely beautiful interview. Okay, good night, guys. Good morning, guys. Let's end this. This was insanely fun. Thanks for staying up. Oh my God, she knows Hindi. Yes, she knows the language of the stupid UP farmers. Oh my God, she's so attached to the ground. She's not elite at all. This was fun. We'll do it again tomorrow or day after tomorrow. 28 minutes 50 seconds. Okay then. Good night, guys.